bastards, it's us, Kino Inferno. We're back again with another Kino Inferno classic episode. I am the Wario of film criticism.
I am the Wario.
Shut up. Sat to my virtual right is the Waluigi of film criticism. Now you say your name.
Okay, hi, I'm Mark. Hi. This is how we do things. I also love how you've set a new record for insulting the audience.
Yeah, I know. First two words. Next time I'll just go, cunt! Yeah, that's how I'll start. Anyway, so you've got us, you know us, you love us, we're your favourite boys. Sat to my virtual left, however, there's this looming figure, dare I say it, the Bowser of film criticism.
Ooh.
Our friend and yours, the one and only Mr. Abdel Belabbes.
I am not their friend, I am their enemy. I'm gonna fucking get him, I'll get him! And also, I prefer to think I'm the Donkey Kong of film criticism.
I was going to go with Waluigi, even though she's not an official character.
Did you just make that up? Who is that person?
No, that's the thing. Apparently they were going to introduce a Waluigi, but they decided against it. Probably because the internet is horny, and it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, you said Waluigi, and my dick's all a quiver.
And we're not in the same room, but like sexuality is palpable in the air.
I felt it. I felt that dick a quiver. It's like a butterfly flapping its wings.
And that's a new record for demonetization. Okay.
I think you're in debt, actually. I think you owe people some money.
What a good podcast.
I genuinely had this discussion with my dad. My dad was like, you guys could make some money. And I was like, Dad, we say cunt way too much on this show.
But by contrast, my mum, who listens to every episode, said to me, God, you two swear a lot on the podcast. And I go, yeah, sorry, man. I was like, look, all I'm saying is, if you have to swear to be funny, you're obviously a pair of cunts. Anyway, should we explain Abdul to the listeners?
Good luck.
I don't think we could if we tried.
His Instagram says that he's a filmmaker, writer, and content creator. We know him from university.
I didn't go to the university, I just used to hang outside.
No, yeah, he just used to... Yeah, he never qualified for university. He just hung around on the grounds.
He just came and sat in the lectures, because, anybody could do that. That's the thing. I always thought this about university. Anybody could just walk onto the premises and sit in those lecture theatres.
Yeah, do you know, if you're listening to this now, and you've not got into university, or you just don't intend to go to university...
Just go.
You'd like to sit...
Yeah.
If you'd like to sit in a lecture, if you hear one that sounds... Just go in. I mean, no one will stop you.
There is very little security at university halls. People can just stroll in, and people just think, "Oh,
honestly, you could walk in with a gun."
Honestly, okay. We're all don't do that. We're all joking.
No, actually, Kino Inferno does not condone mass shootings. Okay, that's not a thing that's happening.
Hang on, we need to ask a new character that I've just made up. The legal advice bear. Hello everybody. I'm the legal advice bear. You shouldn't shoot people. Okay, bye.
Bye legal advice bear.
This is already bear chaos and I'm not here for it. See what I did there? Did you enjoy that?
I can't believe there's been a bear sitting in this room this whole time.
Where?
This is the worst podcast.
Or the best podcast, please do let us know. So, we've got Abdul on the show because the two films that we're talking about today...
are his favourite films.
They are his favourite films ever. That's now canon. That's canon.
Canon. Boom. Legally binding. The bear's thumbs upping.
Bowser's favourite films are Titan AE and Final Fantasy The Spirits Within.
How dare you.
And the theme linking these two movies is that they're both post-apocalyptic animated movies from... early 2000s. We'll presumably have come up with a better snappy title.
I believe what we were going to go with was groundbreaking animation ? Because both films are well regarded in terms of their actual animation, but the quality
they were at the time. We'll get into
that. They at least claim to be.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have a discussion based around that. But I feel like that's whenever people do think about either of these movies, that tends to be the first thing that comes up in conversation.
Mark, I'm going to stop you right there. No one's thinking about these films. No one ever thinks about Titan AE.
I'll tell you who's thinking about Titan AE in the year of our Lord 2022. The band Electricity, whose song...
Do you mean electricity?
No, Electricity.
That's not a word, though.
Whose song Cosmic Castaway.
Oh, there's the one-word title.
So that's their one and only hit. That's their most listened to song on Spotify.
Well, let's discuss this further by jumping straight into Titan AE.
Without a planet, we're no longer a threat.
Hey, it's me, it's Kale.
Humans.
Wait.
The Titan was the key to finding a new homeworld. Your father hid the Titan. He knew the Dredge would come after him. The only way to find it is in your hand.
Me?
The Dredge wants you, only dead.
How do you know they want me dead?
In the year 3028, the Earth is destroyed by an evil alien race called the Dredge. But don't worry too much, as humanity's salvation, a big round ship called the Titan, manages to get away, as does our protagonist, Kale. 15 years later, our boy Kale is recruited by some guy named Curso, who along with his crew of weird alien freaks and one hot chick, are hunting for the Titan, which Kale has a genetically encoded map to in his ring/hand. So, Mark, Abdul, do you remember Treasure Planet?
Yeah.
I do, yes.
Barely, but yeah, I do.
It's that. It's that. But
Yeah. I mean, that was like my main takeaway when I was rewatching this again. I was like, wow. I mean, in my head, like, when I was a kid, I used to love this fucking film when I was a kid. I mean, I love Treasure Planet as well.
Yeah, same.
I watched this film over and over again, and I used to, like, haunt the aisles of the large Tesco's for, believe it or not, they had loads of Titan AE toys.
No, I know they did, because I bought I had bought for me a t-shirt depicting the Dredge.
The Dredge themselves. They had such, like, I used to think the Dredge ships were, like, really, really cool. I mean, we're not even getting to that. We haven't, the listeners don't even know what the fucking Dredge are, right? Should we,
Our listeners know.
Well, I would just like to say, like, you guys clearly have, like, a connection to this movie. I had never seen it before, this show. My only real bit of prior knowledge was that in the fucking Buffy the Vampire Slayer game on PS2, in the cinema level, there are just posters for this movie everywhere. That's my only point of reference to this movie.
And we'll get to why there's loads of
Oh,
posters in the Buffy game for Titan AE. We'll get to it.
Right, can we actually talk about this? Because there's 3 credited writers, 2 of whom are names that are familiar to me. Obviously, we've alluded to one of them, sexual predator and Buffy creator Joss Whedon.
Actual feminist, I think you'll find.
Yeah, actual feminist rapist Joss Whedon.
Allegedly.
Also, Ben Edlund. Well,
We'll get the bearing.
What do you think? What do you think? Legal advice, Bear? Oh, he definitely did it, but you gotta say allegedly. Okay, legal advice, Bear. Allegedly.
Alleged piece of shit, Joss Whedon, yes.
Yeah, well, we can say it's a piece of shit. That's our opinion. The opinion of the good people who produce this podcast.
What, us?
Anyway, the point is this. Joss Whedon's one of the writers. Ben Edlund, creator of The Tick, is one of the writers on this.
I didn't realise that. It's the creator of the character, The Tick.
Yeah. I'm double checking this fact because I saw the name Ben Edlund and was like,
it's not a Warren Ellis situation where there's 2 like different creatives in the film,
I hope so.
like within the film circuit that have the same name.
I mean, I should have checked this last night when I was making notes rather than on the pod.
The other person is John August, who is mostly known...
Oh shit, he's somebody as well.
Sorry, when you said somebody, I thought you meant somebody, not the writer of the Charlie's Angels.
I mean...
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, Ben Edlund, Titan AE.
Yeah, he's like his go-to. He's the go-to Tim Burton guy, isn't he?
We're not talking about the works of Tim Burton. We're talking about Titan AE, or Titan Arse Eaters, as I believe we're going to call it.
Titan Ass Eaters. So yeah, anyway, the point is this.
We're talking about Titan AE. All this time, I watched Titan, the film by Julia Decornell. I mean, that's my one joke for the podcast, guys. Savor it. Aiden shook his head because I told him I was going to do that joke.
He did it. I think we should ask my good friend, the comedy lizard, whether that was a good joke. Oh, I don't know about that one. Okay, thanks, comedy lizard. Anyway, should we talk about the film Titan AE?
We should, yes. Right, so I'd never seen this movie before. You guys clearly have. So my impressions going into it, I was like, I know it's some kind of like sci-fi action animated movie, and I knew that it was quite notable for the fact that it was, obviously films beforehand had mixed CG with a hand-drawn animation, because Disney had been doing that since The Lion King, from what I gather.
Yes.
But this was quite a big step up comparatively. And then as I was watching it, I was just like, this is fucking Treasure Planet again. But way more entertaining than that movie.
You think so?
Ooh.
I absolutely think so.
No, I'm afraid that's a wrong opinion.
I'm sorry, right? This is
yeah.
way more entertaining than Treasure Planet is to me. I think Treasure Planet is it's a bit too stop-starty, whereas this is kind of a bit more consistent across the board. There's a lot more action, a lot more happens. I just prefer it.
There's also
even
more 2000s butt rock.
But
oh my god!
I think
Mate,
even though it's not good, don't get me wrong, it's not good. It's a bit more fitting here than what it is in Treasure Planet. Like the aesthetic of this movie suits hearing Power Man 5000, for example. Which,
cool.
As a fan of that band, I was fine with Power Man 5000. But yeah, it does get to a point where they do montages over really shitty, early 2000s.
The montage that will kill your childhood nostalgia.
Yeah, can we talk about the song "In Over My Head" by Lit?
Yeah, I mean, you watch an interview with. So I in preparation for this, I watched the making of both of these films, and you watch the interview with the hit band Lit, which feels like more like a band for now, with that title than it does for.
That's true, actually.
Can I ask a question? Did they get into this? Are they a Christian rock band? Because
I don't know. They've got a big Christian
all the
rock
music
energy,
in this
don't they?
feels like it's by Christian rock bands from the 2000s.
I'll tell you why it is because everything on this fucking soundtrack sounds almost like a band you've heard before. There's
but with no cussing and no edge.
Well, there's a reason for one of those bands, which is Power Man 5000, because the lead singer of Power Man 5000 is Rob Zombie's younger brother.
Is that the one where it's like, it's all over? It's all over. I'm going to be doing renditions of all of this fucking...
I think so. I don't remember what the song properly sounds like, but as soon as I heard it, I was like, that's Power Man 5000.
Is it during the chase scene? When the dredge burst appear?
The song
Should we get to what the fucking...
The song that's like Poundland Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Power Man Rob Zombie.
I
guess
Marilyn Manson is already Poundland Rob Zombie, so...
he's Primark Alice Cooper, but that's a whole other thing.
So I when I rewatched this film,
so we should say noted sex criminal Marilyn Manson. Go on.
They're all over this. So we should start talking about maybe who's in this film and what kind of takes place here.
The Dredge are in this film.
Yeah. So the Dredge are the main antagonists of this film. Creatures that are from what you can tell. So if
sentient
you haven't
lightning.
Heard, they're like energy creatures. They're the ones that destroyed the Earth, and humanity are refugees, right?
They're sort of racist
across the stars.
lightning men.
But we don't find out what the fuck their deal is.
Which I like personally. I actually kind of like that. I like that it's a little bit mysterious.
It's mysterious, but super specific at the same time. They really want to kill humans because of what humans might become.
Because of the Titan, right?
Yeah. No. Well, they only find out the Titan project that. Wait. So this is the thing that confused me. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Plot-wise in this film.
All right. So let's set the scene of the opening of this movie.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's going to get very confusing if we don't.
Right. Yeah. We need to get very specifics in the plots because we haven't really introduced to the main character. So let's go.
Listen. So scene 1. Earth. The year is 3028. Cartoon Matt Damon child, otherwise known as Kale, is on
your favorite vegetable.
His dad, who looks like a guy from World War II, but is voiced by Ron Perlman, is like, "You gotta go, son, the Dredge are coming. I'm not going with you, bye." And then he's like, "Oh, that makes me sad." And then that they go, it's their separate ways. But you see the big round ship, the Titan, taking off. Yeah, he's because his dad's like the boss of the Titan. But he gives him a ring, that's crucial. He gives him a ring.
Yeah. And
not on the phone, on his
Yeah, he calls him. He's like, "Yo, son, by the way, I'm not coming. You're being taken care of by your koala friend."
Do we find out what happened to the World War II father voiced by Ron Perlman?
Oh, Howard Hughes.
They reveal that. That happens. You find out at the end.
Did I miss this?
He's implied to have killed by the Dredge, but you don't know when or what.
Sure.
Well, they find a hologram of him talking, and he says that if this hologram has been activated, I'm already dead.
Oh, right, yeah, but you don't find out why he died. Yeah. That's my point. Yeah, he's like
starvation. I don't know. He was there by himself for a long time.
I mean, to be fair, he does look like he's been thawed out from World War II. And
he looks like Howard Hughes, with the most ridiculous both arm that you'll ever see. There's a lot of hair stuff in this film. Our main character, Kale, when he's grown up, who's voiced by Matt Damon, kind of looks like Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting.
Yes.
Like the most, and if you, he's got like the most ridiculous haircuts you'll ever see on a character. I mean, that's kind of Don Bluth's style. If you ever seen Anastasia, both of the leads have ridiculous curtains, and there's a character in this as well. Is it Akima?
Akima, yeah.
Voiced by the very
voiced by
Japanese
Asian actress Drew Barrymore. Yeah,
yeah, the very much the Scarlett Johansson of her time. Yeah,
in so many ways that is accurate.
She also has the most ridiculous haircuts you'll ever see. So when you see them together, it's like you're standing in the middle of a room.
I thought she was an alien when I was watching this last night, or she was going to be like a half breed, because her hair is like two tentacles. Like she has
tentacles,
two and they look like two little tentacles flapping around the place.
You know, it's interesting that we're talking about this. Like, when we're talking about the beginning of the story, that we're heralding this as like the beginning of like a revolution in terms of integrating CG and hand-drawn animation, because Don Bluth as an individual has like a reputation for doing very, very, let's say, less than Disney quality hand-drawn animation.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Don Bluth outside of the fact that, like, obviously he did Anastasia as well, but so I'm not as familiar.
Anastasia is kind of his magnum opus, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that love that movie.
Yeah.
You know what? Like that.
He also did All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah, which I know like a shocking lot of people have like really fond memories for. And Land Before Time.
Yeah, Land Before Time, of course.
I mean, Don Bluth, like, when after watching this film, I was like, is Don Bluth some kind of shyster?
Oh, An American Tale, actually. Sorry, I take it back. An American Tale is probably his best film. It's the story about a Jewish mouse.
He's kind of like a wholesome, like, because he wanted to do, like, from what I've seen from his, like, Wikipedia page, he wanted to be an animator since as a kid, and he interned at Disney several times, and I think fell out in several times, and kind of started his own animation stuff. And they've always been kind of, like, considered second-rate to Disney.
Yeah, but at times, for the most part, they sort of are.
Yeah, I mean, because they're like more like, I guess they're a small ragtag because they're cheaper, and you know, there's no two ways. But Anastasia is probably his most expensive one, and it shows. And that had like a better integration of like CG and hand-drawn animation. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, like I feel like I think there's a lot of people that probably assume it is. Like,
but this is the thing that's so key about understanding Don Bluth's work. Is it's not just sub-Disney because it's cheaper and the animation's slightly shoddier, generally speaking. It's sub-Disney because he has this kind of weird tone in all of his work where it's like quite heartfelt, but there's also this weird darkness to it. So you take Anastasia as an example. Like, that's kind of a princess movie. It's like, oh, she's lost in the world and she's coming of age and there's magic and all the rest of it. But it's set along the backdrop of the Russian Revolution. It's like,
yeah. There's a lot of murder and death, and Rasputin's the main villain.
Yeah, Rasputin's the lead villain. He's a necromancer. An American Tale, another great movie about a Jewish mouse and the hardships that Jewish mice are going through.
Yeah,
it's a story about immigration to the US, told through the medium of singing mice.
Yeah.
And speaking of mice and weird darkness, we've also got The Secret of Nim in his back catalogue.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a great
film. I know you did. But yeah, so that's kind of his vibe. It's like the tone of these movies is always slightly off as well.
And I think that is completely established at the beginning as well, because within 10 minutes of this movie starting, you get this big exposition dump at the start about the dredge and all that kind of stuff. And then we literally have a young boy being torn from his dad's arms as the earth is destroyed.
Yeah, it's kind of a harrowing scene, because he's like asking, like, the dad is like trying to be like strong, and he's like, yo, you go ahead, is that okay? And the boy like feigns that he's okay, and then he's like, no, it's not okay. And as he's being taken away by the and then Earth is destroyed. Not very dramatic. It felt kind of like
it is made clear in the movie though, and this is what I'm talking about. It's made clear that the human race has borderline extinct. Like, I mean, and are second-class citizens in the universe at this point. All the ugly, hideous aliens are like, fuck you humans, you stink, fuck you. Like, that's their whole vibe.
Yeah,
humans get served last, you know.
So it's like he's working in like a truck stop. The main character,
a racist truck stop.
Yeah, they really do not like humans.
They're literally in a separate line, right? Like they're like in another line waiting to be fed, and they're like, you're in the human line, and he's got a sense of exceptionalism. He's got kind of like a chip on his shoulder, so he tries to jump the line to some music that's definitely not the Prodigy. And
I thought this was more kind of definitely not Linkin Park. This is Cosmic Castaway. Because it has that like rap rock vibe to it as well. It's like I do ba boo ba do ba dee, I do ba 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 da, it's like that, you know.
I would like to say that you were being facetious, but you're not.
Yeah. I mean, the opening of it kind of has like that kind of grungy electronic
opening
of Prodigy. But
this is why I think Christian rock, right? Because the thing about Christian rock is it's always like 5 years behind like mainstream music. So I feel like this entire soundtrack is like 5 years behind the mid-90s.
This scene also has one of my favorite lines in this film. That kind of like there's quite a lot of baffling kind of like sci-fi nonsense in this film. Like, I mean, it's a film for children that doesn't really give a fuck about following the logic of the world. This is an established spaceport. They're scrapping. He's like, I'm going to jump this line. I'm going to fly into the docking station for this satellite, wherever the fuck he's working at. And the guys that he's with tell him he's crazy for trying to do that, and he's like, the odds of a ship docking are 1,000 to 1. I'm like, it's a docking. What are you talking about? It's a spaceful. Like, and obviously he immediately gets rear-ended by like a fucking docking spaceship rather. And there's so many inexplicable bits of dialogue in this film. So as the film carries on, like he's got a map in his hand.
Sorry, we need to point out that that's a classic, what I assume to be a Whedonism in this scene, where he goes, the chances of anything docking in this space docking station are 1,000,000 to 1. Then when he sees the ship rearing up, he goes, that would be 1. Waka, 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 wow.
The Whedonisms they stand out a lot in this movie, and I think it's because it's very evident that his stuff is just kind of peppered throughout the script, whereas if the film was completely that kind of like quickfire, sassy kind of dialogue the entire way through, it wouldn't be so jarring when it does hahappen.
Oh man,
it would be more insufferable.
Oh, it's
probably
proto Firefly, man. Like there's so many like.
Yeah, I was thinking this.
This is like this. So immediately after this, I was going to get this like we established that the Dredge are after Kale, and another human, Corso, comes to like recruit him into some kind of crazy mission, and are immediately beset upon by the Dredge, the evil.
Yeah, because it turns out the guy that Kale, the alien, the horrible, gross alien,
the koala creature, that he's like, go hang out with my koala.
Who's like, I guess, kind of been looking after him all these years. It's implied that Corso. What's he called? Corso. It's implied that Corso sort of set that up somehow, because he walks in and he's like, cheers, man. I also want to shout out that alien creature is voiced by the rapper Tone Loc.
Yeah.
If you don't know who he is, he's Mr. Funky Cold Medina. So do with that information what you will.
You literally learn something every day.
I was watching the credits and I went, surely not the Tone Loc.
Tone Loc. So yeah, they're beset upon by the Dredge.
Giving quite a good performance, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, he's not in it for very long. He's only in the beginning, and he's like the warm kind of like, he's like the one that's trying to encourage him to like research into human history.
He's like the warm elderly black man, but a mole creature.
Yeah.
So I do want to discuss this scene where the Dredge do attack, because again, I've never seen this movie before, and the Dredge are entirely CG.
Yes. And at this point, the film is 2D in the backdrops.
Yeah, like, so when you first see the Dredge properly, when they walk in, I don't know if it was just the lack of sleep I had had recently, but like that really unnerved me. There was something really quite creepy about the way they moved.
This is one of those things. I always find it interesting when people talk about like how effects have aged. Because I can watch something from the 80s and be like, those effects are still good. Like, I could buy into it, even if it's not as convincing as it would be now. But this is a clear example of, when I was a kid watching this in the theatre, I was like, this is the peak of cinema. And now watching it, 22 years later, I'm like,
oh god,
oh dear.
Yeah, no, they hurt my eyes.
It was like, have you guys ever seen But Ugly Martians?
Yes.
Because,
sadly,
it does look like they do. They move like the But Ugly Martians.
It looks exactly like a But Ugly Martian has just walked in.
Yeah, it's like, because it's a wide shot, and like we'll talk about some more of it, because there's like a set in this, as he says, a backdrop in this that's like entirely CGI, and it's consistently entirely CGI, and it fucking hurts my eyes. But Yeah, when the Dredge walk in, I did, in fact. There is a scene in this where the Dredge do look kind of intimidating, but in this opening scene, it's all in a wide shot, and they come jittering in.
Yeah, it's
like
honestly, it really, really freaked me out. It's because there's that classic thing, isn't it, where like in animation, if you want to make something scary or intimidating, you change the method of animation because it's unnatural and it stands out. Like Courage the Cowardly Dog is really infamous for doing that.
Yeah. And there's plenty of unsettling stuff in Courage. But anyway, the Dredge attack. And Corso immediately tries to save Kale, and he's like, come on this adventure, you got no choice, they're going to fucking kill you. And
they fucking ice that cockroach creature as well.
They do. That is in my notes.
The cockroach that's voiced by Harmony Korine? Not really, but like, it sounds like...
Yeah. Yeah, we should say there's a weird cockroach creature that serves in the canteen that's like, I don't like ketchup, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then he gets killed by the Dredge. But it was harrowing watching this last night because I remembered this cockroach dying. I don't remember the fear in its eyes.
Yeah, he's like cowering.
Yeah, it's like he dies as a coward.
I mean, they try to get over it because you can still hear, like, so he dies violently. He explodes into goo when they shoot him, and like it's his teeth are still like human teeth.
Yeah, he goes bullseye.
Yeah, and he's still talking because he kind of goes, oh. It was the implication as if the kids be like, oh no, he'll still be okay, but no, he's like fucking, he's liquid.
He's deaded. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing that I want to say about this movie. It's obviously you mentioned previously about the whole stuff for like Don Bluth's movies having this kind of underlying darkness. This movie is like inappropriately violent in places.
Oh mate, there's a death later on. Like
I know exactly what you're referring to.
But there's shots of blood and stuff in this. Like
yeah, like when Drew Barrymore's character.
Also, the sexuality of this movie is a bit much.
We'll get to that as well, and we also know who to blame for that. But...
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, it's me, Joss Whedon.
What I was going to mention in relation to that is like the Joss Whedon.
I don't know why that's Joss Whedon's voice. I have no idea what he sounds like.
That is what he sounds like.
So that just happened.
I'm a feminist. I just wanted to mention, when the Dredge do attack, like, if we're talking about the Whedonism, fucking Kale is completely insufferable during the scene, because he's sarcastic as fuck. At every turn where Corso's trying to save his life, he's like, they hide in the kitchen, and, like, Kale's like, oh, great, this would be awesome if we had any baking to do. And it's just like, fuck it, I'm trying my best.
Yeah, what does that mean, bro?
Yeah,
bro, what does that mean? Like you're hiding here because it's the nearest available room, bro?
I also want to point out that...
What are we doing? Making a cake over here?
For the most part, Matt Damon sounds like he's on fucking sleeping pills throughout this movie.
Oh man, yeah, he sounds...
His performance is so stunted, is unreal.
Oh, did we mention that Corso is Bill Pullman?
Yeah. He's actually turning into decent stuff,
he's okay.
He's got some enthusiasm here, and he kind of like.
I'm shouting out the voice cast because it's kind of buck wild.
Yeah, it's Nathan. Is it Nathan Wald? Not
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane shows up later, and of course John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo, bless him, he's an actor that should be a lot more famous and successful than he actually is, because he's like a guy who gives 120%. In this role, he's playing like the cheat. So Corso obviously, he's got a ragtag crew
of
alien
freaks. As I mentioned in the intro.
One of them seems to be Guillermo del Toro as a lizard man,
but voiced by John Leguizamo.
We need to talk about the Queen of Squats as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Janine Garofalo.
Yeah, Janine Garofalo.
The bizarre kangaroo Slav squat creature.
Right, I want to talk about this because when we're introduced to these alien freaks, right? So you've got the Guillermo del Toro lizard tortoise thing, voiced by John Leguizamo. That's Goon.
Mm-hmm.
We've got is it Preed? The weird sort of
hyena baboon
creature, hyena baboon.
Who's got like a plate in his head.
Who is voiced by Nathan Lane.
By Nathan Lane, and he's clearly a his dog.
He's also
played by Nathan Lane.
Yeah.
But he's kind of got this like, oh, you're a cunt kind of personality.
Yeah, he's in another world he would be voiced by what's his name from Frasier.
Yes, he would have been Niles.
David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah,
David Hyde Pierce. Yeah. Oh my god, actually, that's kind of a better choice actually. But and then we've just got Janine Garofalo. So we've got John Leguizamo, who's like, oh, here's the map. I live in space and I'm a creature.
Yeah, he's like the science officer.
Yeah, he's doing like a weird Leguizamo voice as well. And then we've got Nathan Lane doing this kind of David Hyde Pierce thing. Then we've just got Janine Garofalo being like, yeah, I'm here. Ooh, I've got no guns.
She's got a line.
She's
got a line that I wrote down as well.
Like,
she's like,
it's so flat. Her delivery is so flat in this. She's just like, oh my god, the Dredge.
Yeah. Except like she's got like a temper as her thing, right? Like there's
it's a Janine Garofalo character.
Yeah.
You know.
When Kayla's introduced to this character, he's introduced in the most, again, another very Joss Whedon scene where he looks up and there's Akima,
played by acclaimed Asian actress Drew Barrymore.
Can we get the gong sound effect? Can we put the gong sound effect in again every time we say Drew Barrymore? No, we apologise for we apologise. Sorry, go on, Abdel.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kayla's obviously naked during the scene because
we see some ass as well. It's not just like
he's
got a cover on. He has for a bit, but then he stands up and there's just bare naked cartoon ass.
And that's like another Joss Whedon thing. It's like there's so many people, so many scenes of these two stumbling in on each other's
Yeah,
naked.
I mean, I'm jumping ahead slightly. We'll get back to the plot in a minute, but there's a scene later on where Asian Drew Barrymore is in the shower, and Kale goes in, and he's like, "Oh, sorry," goes out, and she's like, "You don't have to go." And it's like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, are these two about to fucking? I mean, fair enough. Do what you want. You're like the last two humans on Earth who aren't.
Please.
Bill Pullman, I guess. But yeah, like, still.
It's either her or Janine Garofalo.
Yeah, these are the two females on the ship. And obviously Bill Pullman's taken because he's going out with Preet, so.
Yeah, I mean, they've got quite a romance blossoming. Janine Garofalo has a great line as well, where she says, like, she drops a box. They've got a carrying mechanic. She's like the mechanic.
Yeah, I wrote this line down too, actually.
Yeah, I'm educated, well-read. I'm not a mechanic.
I love that. I want to shout out Janine Garofalo, though. She's not very good in this, but I like her a lot in the movie Mystery Men.
Yeah, she's great. I know in Wet Hot American Summer.
Yeah, we love her. We're a pro Janine Garofalo podcast, but her voice acting in this is not wrong.
Anyway, this ragtag group, like, they go on an adventure to find the Titan, which is like some kind of secret that obviously the secret that is that. Like they immediately like go to different planets.
Have we said about his ring? His ring has.
Yeah, you mentioned the ring.
We already talked about his ring when he's in the scene where he's got his butt.
Oh, blah, blah.
Hey.
But no, he has a jewelry ring, which is genetically encoded to him, which somehow Kelso knows about, and then, but he projects a little map onto the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
Which takes him to the Titan.
I feel like we could very briefly just summarize the rest of the plot of this movie by saying he has the ring, he has a holographic map showing him where the Titan is. They go on this crazy adventure going to all these different planets.
No, we've got to shout out the planets.
Yeah, we'll definitely like sort of delve into it. But
Planet
then
of
it just
Bat
becomes
Creatures.
Yes, which was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they just go on this little crazy adventure going to all these different planets until they eventually find the Titan, and then, we get all the big sort of reveals of backstabbing and all.
Yeah, so it turns out, although Corso up until this point has been like, we should save the human race. Turns out
he was there in his childhood. Yeah, he's there in the opening.
He's part of the Titan project. You just reminded me. Yeah, you're correct. But it turns out he doesn't want to do that. He'd rather sell the Titan to the Dredge and make a bit of money. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, him and Preed are like saving up for a holiday home. So.
Yeah, but then anyway, after that point, turns out Preed backstabs him because he's like, the Dredge hate humans. You know this. They've tried to exterminate your entire race. Why would you work with them? You fool. I'm going to kill you all before they get here. And then Preed gets his neck snapped by Corso.
Oh my god, it's so brutal.
Literally,
it's so brutal.
I was shook. Couldn't believe
He's
that.
Fucking... Like, he full on goes limp, listeners. It's crazy.
His eyes roll back. Like, it's like what? It's like the smoothest.
Like, it's not like he reaches out of frame and you hear a snap. You see this cunt's neck get snapped.
And again, I wouldn't be surprised if that's another Whedon inclusion, because like a lot of his stuff, everyone always gets like really brutally neck snapped.
I mean, yeah, he kills the shit out of that guy, doesn't he? Like,
yeah.
Kills him to fuck him back.
Like, I mean, I
don't know what that means.
Yeah, R.I.P. Preed, but like,
shout out to his family.
It's quite. It's also like the smoothest bit of animation in the fucking film, because like his like eyes roll back to his head, his head's on back to front, and then he disposes of his corpse down the stairs afterwards.
Yeah,
it's really gratuitous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like, it's really, the entire sequence is weird when like Corso is revealed to be, because like he's revealed to be the villain when like
it's revealed earlier in the film, isn't it? Because
so
it's kind of halfway through.
Yeah, Kale and Akima basically just stumble upon him
yelling really loudly.
Yeah, like not being subtle about what they're
he's
doing.
Like just yelling to the Dredge Queen, because the Dredge have a queen, Slay Queen.
Yeah.
He's like, how dare you shoot at my ship when we're friends? I'd even say best friends. And they just hear it. It's so funny. They hear it, and then literally they even have the most cliched dialogue where he's like, how long were you standing there? And Asian Drew Barrymore's like, long enough.
Yeah.
Why do they always say that shit? Why do they always say that shit? When you know someone's a traitor, why don't you just go, I just got him, man. I didn't hear a thing. I don't know. You talking to someone? I just wanted to know if you wanted to go, like, get a coffee. Like, and then leave. As they don't... You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They always go, long enough, you backstabbing bastard.
I mean, this has all the cliches, the backstabbing, the
Corso sort of turncoating at the end as well, being like, oh, actually, no, wait, I don't want to betray you. I snapped that dude's neck, though, because he was the bad guy, not me.
Yeah, he's full on like, hey, maybe we do have a chance.
Now he's killed the guy that was going to backstab him. Like, it's like, oh, maybe the dredge can't be trusted.
Yeah, what, those beings of pure electricity?
That just murder the shit out of everybody.
Those alien monsters that hate humans and have hunted us to near extinction.
That entire, like, this is, look.
I just want to say this up front so the listeners are clear on my stance. Fuck aliens. Okay? Fuck them.
I mean,
and
this
I don't
film
mean
agrees.
have sex with them, I mean get rid of them.
Kill them.
Get rid of them.
This film agrees, because, like, as far as the dredge have, like, no internal motivation. They, like, die, every time you see a dredge, they're either dying violently and for good reason. Like, the film's, like,
they
wallowing in their death.
They deserve it.
Corso's betrayal also baffles me in this film, because he says, at some point, he, like, outlines why he does it, and he's like, you cannot, like, he's like, knows it's a losing game. And his reason for believing so is because the dredge are pure energy, like, as if that makes them unstoppable. But every time they've shot at them, they pop like a balloon.
Yeah.
Like, when you shoot
super
their ship,
easy to kill.
they're so easy to kill. It makes it imply that if you shoot the ship, not even in, like, dead center, like, if you shoot it
just
off onto,
immediately
like, the side of the wing,
explodes.
it all vaporizes.
Well, that's kind of how they defeat them in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, right? Because the Titan just does a big jizz and kills them all.
Because he basically uses the dredge as an energy source themselves, if I'm not mistaken.
Should we mention what the Titan actually is when they get?
Yeah, so it's got, like, the genetic codes of all life on Earth inside.
And?
The genetic material.
And therefore it can create planets.
Yeah.
It's like a terraforming machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hidden in an ice field, right? This circular thing, and
sorry, you mean
it's
it's hidden in a CGI screensaver?
Yeah, it's hidden in the Enter the Dragon scene.
Yeah.
There's, like, this entire, like, ice formations, like giant floating CGI.
I just want to shout that
crystals, and,
sequence out because Roger Ebert described it as one of the most virtuosic sequences of animation.
Shut up!
No,
he
he
didn't.
did. I looked that
They
up.
fucking did. Ebert was like into this movie.
I have to admit though, like the sort of final third of the movie, that's where you kind of get the biggest mixed bag of CG, because like some of the bits in the ice field do look quite bad by today's sort of standards, but there's some really great shots of like the Titan that look really good, like comparative. Like they do a lot of really creative lighting stuff towards the end.
Yeah, until the Earth is created and they're
that
standing
looks
on.
really shit.
Like
Yeah, that looks
speaking of Christian rock, it looks like one of those Bible DVDs where they show like like the genesis of the Earth, and it's just like all CGI screensavers, like from Beast Wars, and these two 2D and then they have the audacity to make the camera spin around them. I mean, we haven't really touched upon this, but like there's where the integrated CG and like 2D animation. There's one, I mentioned this before, there's one background that's like unwatchable. It's like the entire bridge of their ship is CGI.
I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
The bridge of Corso's ship is CGI, right? And everyone's 2D animated in it. Now, the animation is super kind of jittery, and you really don't notice it until they have these daring camera swoops throughout the bridge of this ship. And it's just, it just fucking hurts my eyes.
Yeah, it's
like,
a real eyesore, yeah.
Yeah, my housemate walked in while I was watching this film, and he was just like, oh, fuck, what the fuck are you watching? It hurts. The animation itself, like, when you notice it with painted backdrops, you can't really tell how jerky it is, because the gesture, like, in anime, you know, like, if you know illustration, you know that gesture animation is, like, the key to, like, making figures look realistic, and that's all good, but it's like they have less frames than you should, and it looks kind of like a flip book. And when you have like painted backdrops, it doesn't feel that apparent, but when you have CGI camera moves that are spinning around our characters, oh boy.
And I should say that the Don Bluth and co had to cut every corner because they were given a reduced budget and not enough time to make the movie, because this movie was languishing in production hell.
Yeah, it was intended to be live action.
It was supposed to be a live action. Yeah, it was supposed to be live action, and then they just palmed it off on Don Bluth and the lads because they just made Anastasia. I guess that was a big hit. So they were like, you'll know what to do. Animate this, and we're gonna give you 5 minutes and £10. And they kind of went, okay, sure. And you kind of get the mixed bag that you do now. I mean, I guess it was ballsy of them to try and put CGI in it, bearing that in mind. But, you know, I think the results are pretty mixed. I will say, I think there's some iconography in this movie that I think is pretty cool. I just find that the execution is not...
Yeah, I mean, the best animated sequence, I think, is I think we're all pro Ghoul, the Ghoul? The Ghoul?
Yes, so on the quest, they stop off on a planet, which turns out to be inhabited by... Well, they know it's inhabited by the Ghoul.
Yeah.
But they don't know what the Ghoul will look like. And these bat creatures kind of like swarm around, these like humanoid bat things. They swarm around them. And Corso, quite rightly, is like, right, kill on sight. Because that is what you do with an alien menace.
Aiden's favourite film, by the way, is Starship Troopers, if you get...
Look, Starship Troopers, people always say, right, we'll get back to the Ghoul and the album in a minute. But Starship Troopers, right, has the right idea. People say it's this fucking, it's a pastiche of, fascist propaganda. I think it's just correct. If there's a planet full of gigantic bugs that are sentient enough to prove a threat to the human race, nuke on sight.
You heard it here first, folks. If Aiden ever gets into politics, that's his stance.
Look, I don't like aliens, okay? People, any colour, any creed,
He means
faith,
like extraterrestrials, not like...
Yeah, I love people. I love people. No person could be considered a legal alien or an illegal immigrant. The world is ours and we should share it. Not with fucking aliens, though. If they come here, I want them fucked off, okay? Right. That said...
The Ghoul. They're alright.
The Isles of Ghoul. Yeah, it turns out they're not the worst aliens possible.
No, they're actually quite friendly.
Because
they're also really cool designs, right? Like they're these bat creatures that turn into like monks, like kind of like
yeah. Like... So they first think the Ghoul ate. They first think the bat creatures ate the Ghoul. Then it turns out the bat creatures are the Ghoul, and then he's like, "Hey, dickhead, this is how your hand map works." That's basically the scene.
That's it. They just say, point your hand at the moon, and then like a hologram appears on Kale's hand.
And then they have like a CJ chase through some like these plants that are just full of like
explodium trees.
Yeah, yeah. They're like these floating testicles.
They say they're hydrogen trees. Yeah, they're like these floating orbs of hydrogen, kind of wrapped in bracken. And I have no idea how that has come to be. But it's a cool sequence.
I mean, it's on the planet of the bat people, anything is possible.
Yeah, true.
Look, even when
we should say they're being chased by the Dredge, because one thing this movie tells us is the Dredge will turn up at the drop of a hat.
I like about the Dredge. I like that they are just this fucking force that just...
I don't know, man. I kind of feel... So, the one, again, like we're talking about CGI animation, like I actually think when the Dredge are... So there's a sequence in when, just after this, Akima... Agent Drew
Barrymore. Yeah.
And Kale.
We're not doing that. Please don't.
I'm not going to do that.
I mean, it was racist when we did it in the Asian horror episode.
It's doubly racist.
Kale Will Hunting. Right, guys, it's still Lunar New Year. Come on. There's a sequence in this where Kale and Akima get kidnapped by the Dredge and get taken to their ship. And you know what? Like, the Dredge don't look great, but when there's like, it cuts to their ship, which is like this floating skull squid thing.
The ship is cool as shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It looks like a skull made of icicles.
It's awesome. And like when they're in it, like the atmosphere really, like, it's great. I don't know, the sound design, the score kind of like make you feel like there's this cold alien place. I mean, the Dredge themselves don't look like they do much. Like, they seem to have like, there's a queen, but all she does is tell the audience stuff that they're already seeing in subtitles.
It's kind of implied though as well, like the Dredge kind of foot soldiers and ships kind of just spawn from like a little pool in the middle of the ship. Because you see the ships like sink into that pool and disappear.
Oh mate, don't even get me started on the technology. Like, they put him. There's a point where like they copy the map, right, and then they throw him in prison and jettison.
Right, this
Akima.
This is the weirdest plot.
Are you talking about the prison that they put him in? Somehow Kale figures out that if you like, there's like a force field where he's behind.
That you can just walk through.
That you can walk through,
Makes no sense.
but not just it. the way they show it is that he touches it and it electrocutes him. But if he touches it with 2 points and then with 2 points of his finger, he can like push a hole through it and then crawl out.
Yeah, my notes just say
What?
The dredge make prisons that keep you imprisoned only if you want.
What?
Like,
What?
Like, would it keep them in prison because they're made of energy? Is it because he's like, fleshy?
Also, guys,
Yeah.
your whole deal is hunting and destroying humans. Has it not occurred to you that you might need to keep one prisoner for a time? Maybe make a cell that could contain a human using, I don't know, metal.
And these are the ultimate...
Easily obtainable materials, such as rock. Put a human in a cave and put 2 guys outside it with guns. That'll do, you know?
Bro, it's even worse than that. There's even a scene immediately after that where Akima's behind a force field that doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
there is that technology out there.
What it is it's gender-based.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, 2 walls...
If you're a woman, it keeps you in. And also, the dredge are pretty woke, so, like, if you're trans, if you're a trans woman, it won't let you. The dredge recognise gender. Oh, dear.
I got some miscellaneous notes about the dredge here. This queen, I call her Beyonce, is just here to yell stuff about the dredge that they're already doing. She's always like, yo, go get this thing, and we already see them doing it. Like, they're like, we're on it.
Yeah, the real villain of this film is micromanagement.
Or the lack thereof.
I've also got here, 2 genocides don't make a right.
Disagree. Because the dredge are scum. Like, what are we talking about? It's a dredge.
Wait, that's the thing. Like,
You're going to shed a tear over a dredge, Abdul?
The dredge do get what's coming to them because they spend all of this movie just murdering the shit out of people. So they get what's coming to them.
1 cockroach. I mean, they destroy a planet, but they only murder 1 cockroach.
They kill the shit out of that cockroach.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, and to be fair, he deserved it as well.
Yeah, he was voiced by Auteur Harmony Korine, so he deserved
Aiden's
it.
hatred for bugs is just seeping into this podcast, isn't it?
I hate them, and this movie's just full of horrible little bug man. It's just like, let's get rid of them. Let's kill them on sight.
And it was written by a horrible little bug man, too.
Oh, Joss Whedon.
Very nice, very nice.
So, to summarize, at the end, the dredge are defeated, they're wiped out. Humanity's found a new home. Kale calls the new planet.
Oh, this is the worst dialogue in a film ever.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, we're going to call the new planet Bob. And Asian Drew Barrymore's like, can't call a planet Bob. Can't we just call it Earth? And he's like, oh, who said you got to live here? And she's like, fuck you, dickhead. And then they kiss.
Oh, God, it's so bad.
It's like 2 people who hate each other.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, Kale isn't really like a jolly jokester through the rest of the movie, right? He has his sarky moments, but...
Oh no, he's an insufferable sarky prick. In fact, the only skill he has is that he has that ring, and he's a decent mechanic. So we find out through a montage. To
be fair, the only power that Asian Drew Barrymore has is like nearly getting molested by every creature known to man. Because I want to shout this out before we get to Kino Inferno. There are so many scenes of Asian Drew Barrymore getting leched on by alien creatures, to the point where it gets kind of uncomfortable. Especially given big Joss Whedon's behind this one, and he loves to lech.
I'll be honest, mate. I think that's all Whedonisms. I think that's all him.
Like the bit where she gets jettisoned from the dredge ship and lands on that weird, whatever it is, colony, and there's all these weird little bug men being like, pretty girl.
Yeah, that didn't sit right with me.
It's like, ugh.
I mean, every species.
Preed's there like, I could eat your ass if you want.
That is not far off what he says. Yeah,
it's exact line of dialogue.
Does he lick? Is he the one who licks her? Like some alien licks her.
He tries to lick her hand.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's like. Blah, blah, blah.
To be fair, Kale gets licked a couple of times too.
Yeah, it's a creepy film.
Very creepy.
So.
And I was surprised by it because I'd never seen it before. So I was like, this is not appropriate for kids in so many ways.
It's one of those films that is a stark reminder that all animators are perverts.
Yeah.
This is very true.
All of them.
Which of them. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Yes. I think I've said pretty much all I've had to say about it. I've got some
So, thoughts on this one then, guys? Because you guys have seen it before, and it sounds like you're talking about the movie with some sense of adoration for it.
Yeah, we love this.
I mean,
Go on then. Shall we do Kino or Inferno?
What's your stance? Come on. Hit me
let's go Abdel Belabbes first.
It's a tough one, guys, because like I held it in such high regard in childhood, and you had to see it through past those rose-tinted glasses, and mate, like I'm not sure if it's any good really. Like I'm not sure if I could recommend it, and I don't know. Does that count as Kino Inferno? It's not Kino. I'm gonna put it in the Inferno, man. I like it enough, like it's not like painful to watch, but I cannot think of a situation where I'd recommend something. It's like, what you should watch?
Titan AE,
baby. Yeah.
I'm gonna mirror your thoughts. I'm gonna shadow your thoughts. I'm also gonna put it in the Inferno, but I will say this: it's going in the Inferno, but I'm sort of holding on to the corner of the DVD box and dunking it in. You know what I mean? Because like it's kind of like I might take it out, put the disc in. But really, I should put it in the Inferno. So I'm standing on the edge of the Inferno, at the precipice, and dipping the movie in, as you would a biscuit into a cup of tea.
Teabagging, if you will.
Yeah, appropriately enough for a Joss Whedon piece, I am teabagging this movie. Mark, Kino or Inferno?
I can't in all good consciousness give it Kino, because it does have quite a few problems that we have discussed. But...
yeah, I mean, we've mentioned lit, right?
Yeah.
That's a problem, baby.
Like, I'm going Inferno, but like... I'm just going to chuck it in the fireplace, and I'm probably not lighting the fire today. It's going to happen at some point, but the kindling is there. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah,
but I quite liked it. Again, I've never seen it before, but this immediately struck me as the kind of film where if I'd have seen this as a kid, this would have been my shit. Like, as
a kid, I fucking loved this movie.
Yeah, and I look at it and go, I would have loved this, and I know I would. And I think this, I find it kind of charming in some ways, and after having to rewatch Treasure Planet recently, it was nice to see a film like this that was actually, fairly entertaining.
You know what? I actually think you kind of swung me. Like, I'm going back on it. I'm putting it in the Kino. Not because it's, like, great cinema, but, like, the kids need films like this. Like, this is like...
all right, listen, I'm gonna take out the Inferno. It's a bit singed. The plastic of the box has warped, but the disc is fine.
We'll put it where we keep the logs for the fire. It's
right.
Yeah.
This is the verdict. The box is going in the Inferno. The disc, I'm putting in the wallet book of discs. I'm gonna slide it in there.
Yeah.
So no one's gonna see it on my shelf. But if I want to just a little bit of time.
Well, like it's like that. It's actually probably a way you would have found it as a kid. Anyway, it's like, oh, there's a DVD. What's this? It's like, this looks like a fun cartoon.
I intentionally went to see this at the cinema.
Oh wow!
And then got the VHS.
Yeah. You have to put it in Kino then. Like it has to be. You literally saw it at the Kino Mall.
So Titan AE, it's begrudging Kino is what we're going with. Is that what we're saying?
It's Kino, man.
Right, Kino. Yeah, it's good pulp. I think I enjoyed it on that level. Like it's quite fun. Some bullshit and some fairly dated CG, but
I'm never gonna watch it again. But like, like that's not without its charm. Is the thing. Like it's got good intentions. It's trying to be a fun adventure.
Yeah. It's got a rocking soundtrack.
It's got a rocking Christian soundtrack.
The year 2000's most affordable bands. A cosmic castaway. Yeah. I mean, I am joking about soundtrack, but I was listening unironically to Cosmic Castaway by Electricity earlier. Because now it lives in my head. It lives in my head now. As does Over My Head.
Free.
Yeah.
Oh, what about... was it... It's My Time to Fly.
Yeah, It's My Time to Fly. Also good.
Big tunes.
Big tunes. Also, if anyone's keeping score obsessively and wants to start a Kino Inferno wiki, this is the first, probably not the last, but so far the only instance of something and being put in the Inferno and then taken out and made Kino.
I'm glad I was able to sort of swing you because, I do kind of like this movie. Now we should probably go into the next film.
Final Fantasy, oh yeah.
Which I know you both have many things to say, so let's do it.
We found it. We're closing in on the life form.
Let's move out, people. They came to unlock a mystery. I don't see how any living thing could survive out here. They came to uncover an ancient truth. This is it.
Dr. Ross has opened the door for us.
I say we go in.
In the near future, humanity is ravaged by attacks from ethereal creatures called phantoms. Scientist Aki Ross teams with a ragtag group of soldiers to save humanity and discover the secrets of the spirits within.
Nice.
Very nice. So, from that premise, Abdul, can you actually explain what the fuck this movie's about?
Yeah, because we've all seen it, but I feel like you've seen it.
Yeah. So yeah, I've seen this. This is another film I was kind of like almost obsessed with as a kid, and I watched quite a lot of times. Why? I'll tell you maybe some other time. But
was it the actress? Was it the digital actress?
Was it Dr. Aki Ross herself?
Was it the waifu?
Were you rubbing one out over Aki?
Oh, mate, yeah. I looked into those cold, dead eyes, and I was like,
that expressionless, smooth face.
Yeah. So, no, this film is, on the surface, a pretty simple plot, but the way it goes about it is...
it goes around the houses.
Dare I say it, the plot is basically, we've got to bust some ghosts. A whole load of Slimers on planet Earth, we've got to bust them.
I wish you weren't joking, but this movie has mad Ghostbusters vibes.
There's some spookums on Earth, and Aki Ross, our lead, is she has to collect 8 spirits.
You got to catch them all
to save humanity before a bunch of bad people shoot the Earth with a big gun.
Yeah.
Now, that story might sound stupid, but the film kind of runs into some problems trying to reconcile that with some. Let's say hefty themes that it's trying to balance.
I also wouldn't just say that plot sounds stupid. That plot also sounds incredibly familiar because it's very similar to the events of Titan AE.
Wait, is this movie Titan AE?
It's literally, you've got the beginning of the movie, it's established that humanity has been almost wiped out by a race of aliens, and there's a last-ditch effort to be able to actually like reclaim humanity and reclaim the Earth. By which in Titan AE it's let's find this spaceship. In this movie, it's something to do with spooky ghost tits.
Yes.
So yeah.
We should say Aki Ross, Dr. Aki Ross. Sorry, she didn't go to medical school. Or like has a ghost in her boob.
Yeah, so he's been infected. So these phantoms, as they're called, they attack people and they rip their fucking souls from their body. But sometimes
it is metal as fuck.
Fucking brutal. This was the one part of this movie that I liked, is that so the phantoms are like these glowing orange bug creatures, I guess.
Yeah, they kind of look like deep sea animals.
Some of them look like anglerfish kind of thing, and some of them are like crabs, and all of them need to die. To be clear. But yeah, so I was going to say something. Oh yes, whenever the phantoms attack humans, they rip their souls from their bodies, and you can see guys' souls like pleading with fate.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Crawling back towards it's crazy. This movie is PG rated.
It's the wildest thing I've said. But let's I'm gonna summarize the plot quickly beyond the synopsis.
Yeah, please do.
So Dr. Aki Ross is trying to find these spirits on planet Earth where we're not living anymore because we live in these bubbles now.
So this movie takes place AE. So.
Yeah. Where there's these ghost-proof bubbles, and then she goes around trying to find some spookums. And then she gets attacked by some spookums, and some soldiers come to, try to help her out. She's like...
I like that the soldiers, when they're airdropped, they don't have parachutes. They have this green mist.
Goo.
This green misty goo.
I actually love that. I think that's great.
Yeah, well, you're famously very dumb, so you would love that.
Wow, okay.
No, can we tell me... It's not just the concept, it's how do they deploy this goo?
They just chuck it at the ground and jump on it, from what I remember.
They shoot it at the ground.
Yeah, they fire it out of their guns. Yeah.
It's a cool visual. It's stupid, but it's cool. Okay, I'm good with that.
It's an intelligent science. I've got some factoids about why that's in the film.
Go on, then.
I might say
do it now.
So
spit it out.
So one of the animators is
go.
He's like
the listeners are hungry for this.
Stop keeping us fucking waiting. Go.
Abdul, you don't know about podcasting, okay? You've got to say things now. This is dead
air.
Oh,
sorry, I was just kind of I was doing it in sign language.
What am I supposed to do? Edit this out?
We're going live.
So you guys want to find out why
this is live.
It's in the film.
I feel like we sort of eased you in with Titan AE. This is the real show. We just scream at you for the next hour.
Oh yeah, we lubed you up with Titan AE. And now you're
only to just full on fuck you with Final Fantasy.
I feel like you've just poured a beer over my head and ripped my clothes off. And just please.
No, come on, give us these factoids.
Tell us about Spirits Within.
Give us your factoid about the green goo, you little bitch.
Apparently, they just one of the animators was just I like scuba diving, so I'm gonna go scuba diving, and we can use some of the footage to animate some green goo. So it just sounded like he just wanted a fucking summer holiday in the studio to pay for it.
Oh, so it's just bullshit nonsense.
Yeah. By the way, this isn't the most expensive video game movie ever made.
What? Even more expensive than Detective Pikachu?
It's more expensive than that.
Sonic the Hedgehog, which bankrupted a studio.
Did it?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It did.
Well, an animation
funny
studio,
as well
yeah.
because not only this movie, Titan AE is also responsible for ending some studios.
The tank.
Yeah.
I know we're going to go into the plot of this movie, but I have to just point out now that we're talking about Final Fantasy that when these two films came up for us to look at, I'd not seen either. Well, I remember they showed us this movie in school when I was in like year 8, but I don't remember a thing about it. So watching it, which in a Kino Inferno first, we all actually watched this movie together. Because that's never happened on the show before.
Yes. And because I openly admitted that if I didn't watch it with you guys, I would fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did kind of message saying, I'm really dreading watching Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Spoilers to whether this is in the Kino or in Inferno.
I feel like that was very evident from the start.
But can I say just one thing? I saw this movie in theaters. I did.
Shut up.
You're like the only person that did, I guess.
No, because my dad was there too. So...
I mean, he saw it against his will. That's the thing.
I don't know. I guess he must have taken me to this. I'm not sure. I'll ring him and ask. Give me 1 second.
So whilst Aidan rings his dad, so yeah, it was really strange to me when I went and watched both these movies. I knew that we were going to obviously do the usual thing where we connect the two together, but I didn't realize how similar both movies are. Not only in like the plot, but the fact that they both were responsible for the demise of the studios that produced them.
Yeah, because this was produced by Square Films, was it? And
yeah, Square Pictures.
The first and only.
I mean, they thought they were doing the future of cinema.
Oh, they really did. They really did. Because we should say, Dr. Aki Ross is not just a character in this. She was intended to be a virtual actress in other films. Get your head around that 2001 bullshit. They were making a CGI woman, played by Ming-Na Wen, a real woman, but they were going to...
A good actor.
And a very good actor, yeah. And they were going to pretend that... Was she going to be credited as Aki Ross and everything? Because that's...
I think that was the idea, yeah. That was supposed to be the idea.
We'll get to Aki Ross in a second.
But, like, does that mean that, like, the same actress would always play her? Or would she be played by different actresses?
Apparently, Ming-Na said she would be up
Ming-Na
for
was
it.
like, I'll do this.
Yeah.
And, like, I've read stuff from her where she was like, at first I thought it was weird and uncanny, but then I spent time with Aki and now I'm gelling with her. So she was...
Oh,
so she was...
that's creepy.
She was on this... Well, this is the thing. This is what people don't remember.
She was on cocaine, I think.
This is what people don't remember about the pre-9/11 world, is we all thought... Like, the first 2 years of the 2000s, yeah, before 9/11 happens, and 9/11 happens, like, at the end of 2001. Before that, everyone was...
We all know.
Everyone was gassed.
How could you forget?
Everyone was gassed about virtual people, virtual reality,
I thought you were about to
spaceship.
say about Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
People were hungry for Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. People were listening to Bomb Funk MC's Freestyler. And everyone was having a great time imagining what the future would be like. This is the thing. There is a brief window of time, and we should cover more media from this time period, right? Because everyone was super into the future. Everyone was like, this is what's happening. This is what is happening.
I mean, a lot of it was marketing push.
Yeah.
I mean, this film was, like, pushed heavily as...
But this is when people were saying things like, marketing is the new art form of the new millennium.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
You know, everyone was obsessed with the new millennium. That's the thing. That's the context this movie exists in.
If you'll permit me, I just want to... the lead animator thought...
I want to talk more about the year 2000.
Just quickly, I just wanted to read this quote about Aki Ross by the lead animator for Aki. So there's an animator whose dedicated job was to deal with Aki. Yeah, his name is Roy Sato. I'm just listening from the Wikipedia page, but he said that he perceived her to have her original look to be a supermodel, but then removed the makeup and gave her short hair to give her a more intelligent look, because supermodels...
What a load of bollocks.
Obviously. Yeah.
Well, sorry, you mean that...
And to convince people...
You mean
she's a
that
scientist.
generic bland face they gave her?
Was supposed to be like Heidi Klum or something. Like, fuck off.
What's more unsettling is that, like, he's like... Sorry.
This is going to be good.
Listeners, Abdel is remembering the future in real time.
This is directed by Hironobu Sakaguchi, who is like I believe the creator of Final Fantasy, the video game series. And he took quite a serious bent to this. Apparently, he came to it after like contemplating the death of his mother, and like it deals with a lot of themes of animism and where the spirit goes afterwards. But in regards to Aki Ross, he commented in an interview that he says, quote, "I think it's okay to look at Aki and be convinced that she's a human." And I don't think it is.
No, she doesn't look human at all.
I don't think... none of these people look human.
Except for the one guy who looks like Ben Affleck.
Now that I want to talk about.
Look, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, there's another thing with Titan A. There's 2 cast members of Good Will Hunting.
Except this one isn't Ben Affleck. It's Alec Baldwin. But the CGI model that he is voicing is Ben Affleck. We can't stress this enough.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. It's the wildest fucking thing.
Mate, because I shat myself when Ben Affleck turned up.
So I'm going to get back to the plot where Aki Ross is attacked by these...
so the CGI actor Aki Ross, who in this film is playing Dr. Aki Ross. I guess she's like Barbie, like she has
Aki
many
Ross.
professions.
So Dr. Aki
Mujahideen
Ross,
fighter Barbie.
Viet Cong Barbie.
There's an idea.
Jesus Christ.
Well, sorry, is this from the new Barbie range, Enemies of America?
Can we also have renowned Asian actress Drew Barrymore Barbie as well? Just for the complete set.
Don't forget,
Soviet Spetsnaz
Barbie. Hitler Youth Barbie. Colonial British Barbie.
Anyway, so Aki Ross is saved by a bunch of soldiers, one of whom looks suspiciously like the actor Ben Affleck, but is voiced by Alec Baldwin.
Not suspiciously, it is Ben Affleck.
Sorry, is voiced by confirmed murderer Alec Baldwin.
Allegedly confirmed murderer.
Sorry, the bear is shaking its head at me.
You can't say that. Can't say that.
Yeah, and then they establish what the fuck is happening, because as viewers we're like, ghosts? And yeah, these group of soldiers take her, and she has to speak in front of a bunch of scientists to tell them that we shouldn't kill these ghosts, that they're in fact maybe lost souls, and that instead we should collect more ghosts to defeat these ghosts, because the Earth is one big ghost.
And quite rightly, James Woods is like, no, kill the ghosts.
Because James Woods is in this movie, and...
Bro, this cast is stacked. James Woods is in this movie playing a cross between Albert Wesker and Satan himself.
Literally. Like, we're like full-on Nazi fetish wear going on as well.
They also... I watched a little bit of the making of. So James Woods' character is the villain who's like, no, fuck nature, kill the Earth.
Haim is his name?
They have this weird thing... One of the animators has this weird thing about making him really short. Like, did you see this part of the making of? Where they were talking about how in the scene where he swivels around in his chair at the desk, they initially wanted the desk not to be there so that you could see that his feet were like dangling above the ground, and he was just like tapping them together like a child. And it's like, I'm sorry, what is going on here? Why are we saying small people are bad?
I mean, it's true. They're like aliens. They need to go.
Are they saying that all small people are Nazis? Like, is that what they're trying to say? I don't know what they're trying to say there.
I just want to talk about James Woods' character's height. They base his face off of one of the other animators. If all of the animation in this is like if you watch the making of, they talk about endlessly about how proud of these faces they are. They base his facial expression on one of the animators who's got quite a smug look.
Yeah, real.
And the film. He just looks like a wrong'un, but like the film itself presents him as it kind of tries to present him as if he's like understandable, you know. I mean, Aiden agrees with him because he's a xenophobe.
No. Like, I'm not a xenophobe. Foreigners are fine. I don't like aliens.
No, I meant like in xenomorphs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, xeno. Yeah. No, to be clear, I do hate aliens, and my presidential campaign will be predicated on kill the aliens.
They try to pretend like he's like, reasonable and like he's got like a sympathetic backstory, but at the same time, his eyebrows are like hugging his hairline, and he's like cracking his hands in like leather gloves, and he's literally no one else is dressed like an SS officer, but this guy.
Yeah, he's the one guy who turned up dressed as an SS officer.
The one thing I've got to say about his character, that whole thing where it's like his family was killed by the Phantoms. It's so unnecessary because everything about him just screams.
There's even a point in this movie where he he lets the ghosts into the protected city so he can convince the council to let him use his big space gun, and then he causes the death of that city. He was going to let a little bit in, and then he lets in a lot of ghosts in, and the city entirely fucking dies. And he just has a moment of remorse where he goes, "What have I done?" Delivered with the deadpan enthusiasm of a man standing in a room by himself reading a line. But then he's like, "You know what? I'm all in. I'm going to shoot."
Yeah,
shoot
because
the
he clearly had a moment of clarity and was like, "Do you know what? Fuck the Phantoms." Fuck them.
I mean, to be fair,
I'm not being funny.
I am with Aiden on this. These are literal fucking nightmarish creatures that suck.
They steal your soul.
Dr. Aki Ross is there like, "Oh, yeah, we should respect life and nature." But this is what I'm saying. These creatures
so much of that.
are horrible anglerfish crab demons that cannot wait to suck the souls out of human beings. I'm saying it's justified to kill on sight.
So this is going to invite me to like talk about why Aki Ross is like motivated in this. So she keeps because she's got a ghost in her boob. Sorry, Dr. Aki Ross, Abdel. PhD, MD. Yeah. Sorry, girl boss queen Aki Ross.
That's more like it.
Yeah. Dr. Aki Ross.
We forgot to say when we're talking about Titan AE that the Dredge Queen is a girl boss.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And a doctor.
Yeah, and a doctor.
Yeah, that's Dr. Dredge Queen to you.
Anyway, yeah, Dr. Aki Ross keeps getting these because she's got ghosts in her boob. She keeps getting dreams of this alien war happening on another world, and like she feels like they're communicating with her.
Yeah, because she keeps seeing visions of these Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, these bionicles. They look like real bionicles.
They look like some kind of Bionicle Warhammer crossover.
Yeah, on the set that looks like Beast Wars. I say set.
Honestly, to me, they kind of look like Resident Evil enemies. That's kind of what they look like to me.
Yeah, that's just because your brain is full of resi.
I love me some Resident Evil. Fight me.
Yeah, they look like just like generic aliens. Like anyway, she keeps having these dreams, and she feels like, oh, if we connect all these, I mean, there's a great line by Dr. Sid is his name, is her like kind of mentor, who's voiced by Donald Sutherland. Yeah, he says at one point, he's like, look, he presents to the council a series of waveforms that he says is the ghosts that are attacking us, and then he presents another waveform. And then he just smashes together, and he says it'll cancel them out. He says if we find these 8 ghosts, they'll make one waveform, and it'll cancel out the waveform of these other ghosts. And at that point,
it's like in Rick and Morty, the genius waves and the idiot waves cancel each other out.
I just feel like, what is happening? What are they talking about? They're talking about it so seriously as well.
Yeah.
These ghosts.
So to be clear, it's the good ghost. If you have enough good ghost, then it gets rid of bad ghost.
Yeah, I mean, we're missing an entire part of this. This whole is predicated on the Gaia theory, that the Earth is one large organism.
Like the Gaia theory. Ayo!
That's staying in.
Yeah, that silence. That silence is what that deserves.
That Earth is one big ghost, and we're all connected to one big ghost, and if we shoot the Earth to kill these aliens, they're going to kill our ghost, and we're going to fuck up the Earth royally. So it's like an allegory for fracking.
Very ahead of its time, obviously, but...
Was fracking happening in 2000?
No, I mean, this is just general, it's just general sense of environmentalism.
In a pre-9/11 world?
Listen, this film's Japanese, so, there's general themes of Hiroshima and, environmentalism going on,
Yeah, they love a Hiroshima allegory.
I mean, I say it's Japanese. It's a Japanese director and a studio that's both Japanese and American. Anyway, with this established, yeah, like I said, fucking Haim, James Woods wants to shoot the Earth to kill the ghosts. They think that they don't want that because they think it's going to kill the Earth, and they want to collect 8 ghosts to defeat the ghosts instead. And eventually it's revealed...
This is the problem I have, right? I feel like whatever's left of the world government wouldn't back the collect the ghosts plan.
I mean, I think, yeah, if someone heard that, I'd be like, I'm sorry, at one point, by the way, when I say ghosts, anything apparently can be a ghost.
Yeah, it's like it's Ghostbusters rules where, yeah. Any old thing can be a ghost.
There's at one point she finds one of the ghosts, the spirits, as she says, as they're called. Although, as she thought she wasn't allowed to use the S word,
Oh yes, because apparently that's a slur in this universe.
Yeah, you can't call it.
I think it's just because it's not science. But then bear in mind, the guy she's talking to is the guy who's like, if we get enough good ghost, we can shoot it at bad ghost, and bad ghost go bye-bye.
This is the plot of this film. It's fucking... It thinks it's like a serious drama in the future of cinema. They want to shoot ghosts and more ghosts. Anyway, there's a point where there's a plant is a ghost, and one point because they go to find one of these ghosts using their many heads-up displays.
They love an HUD, it's true. A HUD.
Yeah, there's loads of them. They try to find this, and apparently because when they're trying to find this ghost, it's in one of the battery packs of like a dead soldier, because their battery packs are apparently using biomaterial. So it doesn't even have to be even living anymore to be like a spirit that they can use.
Yeah.
So
what?
And they kill them with proton rays, right? Like proton packs.
I guess
They
shoot a lot of ghosts.
Yeah, because they do have those weird laser gun things that can shoot ghosts. Again, kind of like the Dreads.
Yeah, and Ben Affleck's like, busting makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't kill them, does it? Like, it just repels them.
Dissuades them.
Yeah, they're like, it's a stern talking to them.
It's also like, because it goes on that kind of like environmentalism sort of kick as well. Like, isn't it? It's then later revealed, isn't it, that the visions that Aki is having show that.
Please, Dr. Aki Ross.
Dr. Aki Ross, sorry. So.
God damn it!
I'm sorry to disrespect Dr. Aki Ross.
We have got to respect her, especially after the Black Christmas episode. We are on thin ice, Mark. Thin ice.
So Dr. Aki Ross, she keeps having these visions, and those visions essentially put across the idea that the Phantoms, they had some kind of civil war that broke out. Like,
and destroyed their planet. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they've So that's,
Sorry, so those Warhammer guns, they are the Phantoms.
They're So the Phantoms that are attacking, and we only call them Phantoms because they called them Phantoms, and Ben Affleck was in Phantoms, and he was the bomb yo. But like, they say that those two clashing Phantom factions, they destroy the planet, and all the larger Phantoms are like other animals in that ecosystem. And and like
it's kind of like holding up a mirror to the situation that's going on in the movie. With like, you've got like James Woods' character that wants to destroy it, and you've got like Dr. Aki Ross and stuff. Honestly, when we were watching the movie, didn't quite fully grasp that. It was like a few hours prior watching Ryan Hollinger's video on it, which is very good, by the way. Where he actually laid the plot out, and I went, "Oh, I did not get that at all."
See, the problem with this movie is when we were watching it, I couldn't look at it for too long. Like, my eyes would just slide away from the screen.
Should we talk about the animation a little bit? Because
it's like, listeners, have you played a PS2 game? Have you seen the cutscenes from a PS2 game?
It's that.
Imagine
but 2
that,
hours.
but for almost 2 hours. That's this movie,
and that's what they thought the future cinema was going to look like. Like, it's
they
also
mate, I read contemporary to the time reviews this morning that were saying shit like, yeah, this movie doesn't really work, but like, this will be remembered as the advent of virtual actors. First of all, I want to hang on. 2001. I want to have a quick word with you. What do you mean virtual actors? Because this is Ming-Na Wen in playing the role. She's just voicing the role. Like, in what way is Dr. Aki Ross an actress?
I know, it's like such... Because if
she's a doctor, a goddamn qualified scientist.
There's like, even like behind the scenes, like, they do like fake behind the scenes of it, like where Dr. Aki Ross is walking around with real actors.
That's so weird.
Oh, mate,
that's so weird.
Look, I am convinced that when we talk about animations, are like, animators are perverts in the same like animators,
which they all are to a man. If you're an animator listening to this, you're a nonce.
And if you think we're exaggerating, right, I turn you to Exhibit A, which is like, they presented a swimsuit issue of Aki Ross to, I think it's Maxim, top 100 hottest actors, and they animated Aki Ross in her fucking underwear for people to ogle at.
Yeah.
Why? I have no idea. Well, I do know why.
I actually wanted to bring that up because the only other thing that this studio really has to their name, do you know what it is?
It's you're talking about The Matrix, right?
I am talking about the Animatrix short film, Final Flight of the Osiris. Now, if you don't remember how that starts, there is a samurai sword fight between a sexy young Asian woman and a hot black hunk, and they slice each other's clothes off piece by piece, and you get a whole face full of ass.
Like,
and,
it lingers.
Boy, does it linger. I mean, you think the Wachowskis are horny. These lads are hornier. I will say this as well. They got the commission to do the Animatrix short by using Dr. Aki Ross in a... they made like a little... what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little test animation of
an
Dr.
animatic.
Aki Ross. Yeah, like a... Well, I think it was more than animatic, because I think she was actually fully animated. I think you can find it somewhere online, but like, it's like her fighting Sentinels from The Matrix.
Oh, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, they did that,
so,
and they tendered that. And I believe that's the last thing they ever did as well.
Yeah, that was Dr. Aki Ross's last acting role, because they were then bought out by another company, and just... The other company went, we'll just get the floppy disk with Aki on and throw it in the bin.
it's kind of amazing to me that they went to so much effort around like the outside of the production for a film that's ultimately really quite boring.
Yeah. I mean, this is the biggest sin of this film.
It feels like this film is completely like outweighed by all this ambition that they had with like Dr. Aki Ross and all that shit with like wanting the digital actress and all this. It's
weird that because that was in the zeitgeist at the time, right? Because you brought this up, Abdul, off mic. There's that movie Simone, but with a 1 in it. Do you remember this?
Yeah, Simone. Yeah.
Abdul gave me a flashback.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Please enlighten me.
Simone is a film by I can't remember his name. He's the guy who did In Time. He did Gattaca. He did
Andrew Niccol.
Andrew Niccol.
Andrew Niccol. Yeah.
He really likes his like high concept science fiction, and like sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Anyway, his one Simone is about an actor.
Simone.
Yeah, so it's spelled S1M0NE. And it's about a director who finds a virtual.
This came out in 2002, so that it would have been in like pre-production.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy was out.
Yeah, it's about a director who like can't find a lead actor for his part, a female lead actor for his film. They keep dropping out, and there's like loads of other, I can't remember if they're playing themselves, but there's loads of like famous female actors in the film. So instead, he's approached by an animation company to use a virtual actor. And she becomes a kind of like the film is successful. She becomes a sensation, and she starts appearing everywhere, and people want to interview her, but she's so aloof because she obviously doesn't exist. I don't remember much about the film, to be honest. And
it stars Al Pacino.
It sounds interesting.
I couldn't remember who it was like. I couldn't remember if it was Al Pacino or Gabriel Byrne, but yeah.
No, it's Pacino. It's Pacino.
Yeah.
It should be Gabriel Byrne. But
Why?
somehow they managed to convince Pacino to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is in Gabriel Byrne's price range, you know what I'm saying? Whereas,
Two men who both
we should cover that.
Two men who both played Satan. Anyway.
God, they have as well. Big shout out to Gabriel Byrne.
Big shout out to Gabriel Byrne. Ireland's finest.
The Highlands first.
Island's
he was the first man of Ireland. He was the first man. He was like spawned from the earth of Tirnanog, and he led the people to Ireland.
Kicking snakes as he went. Anyway.
Well,
he batters a snake.
I think we should probably sort of put a cap on like the plot of the movie.
Plot, yeah. So
sure.
Go on. Yeah. Do you want to do that, or do you want me to like try
Honestly,
to make some
outside of watching the movie with you both and watching that video earlier, I'm still basically clueless. So Abdul, please guide me through this movie.
Yeah, I can't tell. I mean, I've seen this movie 3 or 4 times.
Are you like an actual masochist? Like,
No,
but I just have done drugs.
So Final Fantasy, the spirits within. The spirits within. Anyway.
So there are ghost boobs.
A bunch of... these ghosts attack the city because of James Woods. And then, Aki Ross is like, we need to find some more ghosts because these poor ghosts are lost in space. Just like that film, Lost in Space. With Matt LeBlanc.
Matt LeBlanc movie. Gary Oldman.
William Hurt.
Oh man, yeah, God. Oh,
why don't we watch that? Anyway.
Oh, William Hurt, why?
Anyway, yeah.
Heather Graham, that's about right. You stayed your lane, love.
The ghosts attack the city, and like Aki Ross is like, we gotta find the 8th ghost before they fucking blow the shit out of Earth. And then this ragtag group, voiced by Ving Rhames, what's his name? Fucking, I was gonna say Stanley Tucci. It's not Stanley Tucci. It's fucking
Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi, and
I'm sure Tucci appreciates the comparison.
Again, Steve Buscemi also voices a character that looks vaguely human, which I can't for 1 second buy that Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, it's really weird because you just got this Steve Buscemi voice coming out of this, like, no offense to the Bush, but out of this relatively handsome character design, and you've just got this like, hey,
it's so jarring. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that's jarring, but that is one of the sort of, that's top 3.
It's weird as. Like, I'm sorry, if you cast Buscemi, he needs to look like Randall out of Monsters Inc.
Yeah, like he needs to look like he can see both ends of a bus at once.
I think he should have voiced Aki Ross.
Yes. Sorry,
Dr. Aki Ross.
Come on, he's got a PhD.
Yeah, Dr. Aki Ross. Sorry.
PhD.
Yeah. He's like, kiss me, Ben Affleck.
Yeah, and then the other like person in this team, yes, we have Ben Affleck as played by Alec Baldwin.
Oh my god, it's so jarring.
Listeners,
I just have to mention. We've mentioned this, but it's like the most
look
jarring
at this
thing
character online, listeners. What's he called? Dr. Sid? No, he's not Dr. Sid.
No, he's not
fucking,
he's not a
Sid's the old
doctor.
man.
He wishes. His name's Gray. He's like Lieutenant Gray.
Look,
just
go on, do some work, listeners.
And it's also worth mentioning as well that Dr. Aki Ross and Ben Affleck are ex-lovers.
Used to be an
then they'd be banging again in this movie.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
Yeah.
Their whole like romance subplot is one of the most boring parts of what is a very boring.
Oh, you didn't buy it?
I would call it ass.
You didn't buy it?
I just think I think Dr. Aki Ross can do better. She can do better than Affleck. She can. Well, Baldwin, should I say?
Well, she can't. She's got a ghost. She's got a ghost tit.
Who would love a woman with a ghost tit?
She's living on borrowed time, mate.
Let's speed through this plot. So the ragtag group of people get deaded by ghosts, and then the Ben Affleck.
They die in really quick succession.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, like really unceremoniously.
Can we shout out? Sorry, can we shout out Ving Rhames' death though, where he gets got, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll give you something for the pain," and he's like, "No, fuck you." That's great.
He's like, give me a gun instead.
Different.
That's what he says. He's literally like, he's like, give us some drugs. And he's like, yeah.
He's like, no, give me a gun.
Give me a gun.
Killing is the only drug I need.
Anyway, they get got in quick succession. And then Ben Affleck, Dr. Sid, and Dr. Aki Ross like make their way to Earth as the city crumbles around them. Not to be deterred by his like genocide of humanity. James Woods is like, well, I've got a bit of self-doubt. I could shoot myself, or I could shoot that really big gun like I was going to.
It's a big gun surrounded by lots of little guns.
Yeah, listeners, it's a giant satellite surrounded by guns, and in the middle of it there's a big gun, which they call Zeus, which is what I call my dick.
Abdul, please.
I thought it was Shenron, but go on.
Oh, sorry.
Shenron.
There are no wishes to be granted here. Anyway.
But you do have 7 balls.
Oh, leave it.
Yeah, I do. It's a problem. It's a medical issue,
it's
Aiden. Grow up.
It's like,
I don't know.
Does like your downstairs mix-up look like a marble pouch made of leather?
Oh.
Hessian, actually, but
the discussion about Abdul's balls.
I need some aloe.
Anyway, Dr. Aki Ross, what's she doing? What's James Woods doing?
James Woods is going to fire his big gun.
He's made different. He's like, I'm going to shoot myself. And then he's like, no, I should shoot everyone else.
I just love his determination. It's so good. It's the best.
His character
my favorite thing.
is kind of great in the sense that like he actually injects some life into this.
Yeah, I don't know about that because he's like really sleepwalking.
James Woods' vocal performance in this movie is like, oh no, what have I done?
And honestly, that's still miles ahead of everybody else that is just comatose in this movie.
What about Dr. Ben Affleck or whatever, whoever the person?
Dr. Ben Baldwin.
Yeah, big Benny Baldwin.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Big Bill Baldwin saw
Big Bill Baldwin. Who's he?
Yeah, Big Benny Baldwin.
Billy Baldwin's not in this.
Sorry.
I mean, he might be. We don't know.
Look, some of the Baldwins are in this. One of them's Ben Affleck.
Do you know Justin Bieber is like going out with is
Billy
married
Baldwin?
to William Baldwin's daughter?
God.
Yeah, Billy Baldwin's daughter.
We are down the Baldwin
he's
rabbit
Baldwin
hole
fan.
now, guys. I feel like we need to
wrap it up, dude. Anyway, not to be deterred by James Woods' big gun. He's like, that's a big gun. I'm not going to fire. Like Ben Affleck is like, Aki, we need to sit.
This movie is nonsense. It's nonsense.
What is Ben Affleck doing? Oh, Daredevil himself.
So Gone Girl is like, yo, Aki.
Please,
yo, Aki,
please remake Gone Girl, but with Dr. Aki Ross instead. It's like, of course she's gone. She's not real.
Oh yes, the CGI sociopath.
James Wood shoots that big laser into Earth, and he hits Gaia, and we see Gaia, confirming that there's a big ghost. Earth is a big ghost, and all the other phantoms turn to another big ghost. And Aki's like, "Shit, I was right."
Ghost World, another Steve Buscemi picture.
Yeah,
that's right. I'm so lost in this movie that I'm just saying things.
Mentioning other films.
Have you seen Ghost World? That's a good movie. Move on.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's better animation.
Whatever happened to Thora Birch, am I right? Move on.
Anyway, fucking Ben Affleck sacrifices himself. His ghost gets got by the big ghost while he's high-fiving Gaia, and then a big eagle flies away while Mignola sings a wet song about stuff.
Oh, mate,
yeah, spirits
it's
within.
trash. There's the song at the end.
God, the final shot of this movie.
My spirit is within, and it's flying like the seagull. Look at the mountain.
And I just want to say, the plot is delivered in the same manner in which you just described it. It's just drivel.
Stuff.
Like,
I think for all the time animation, most of the stuff visually is a drivel as well. Like there's like such like they're so focused, like because like look,
it's like overlit grey.
Yeah, I mean it's really depressing to look at.
Which I understand is appropriate due to the story's quite bleak tone and such, but it's not very visually appealing. And again, like the movie is quite dull and it's not particularly exciting to look at. Like I'd probably say the Phantoms are like the only visually interesting thing.
And
yeah, they make interesting targets with my big gun.
Yeah,
they are probably the best thing about this movie as well, I would say.
Yeah,
like they're a good bad guy, and the whole like soul eating thing is really cool.
Yeah,
and any scene with them in it is more entertaining than them all just sitting around going, maybe we should destroy the planet. Maybe we should
right. There's a lot of like boardroom meetings and shit in this movie.
It's like Star Wars Episode 3 levels, where it's just a lot of people walking around corridors and
talking. Do you know what? The aesthetic of this film is very Star Wars.
I was going to say the same thing.
Like it has that overlit like gunmetal grey backdrops. It's like
I think part of this is like I attribute this to like post Jurassic Park hangover. Like if we can do anything in CGI, we should do everything in CGI. And like Star Wars and this suffer from both of that. I mean, story wise, look, like it has a lot of ambitions about the themes it wants to touch on, and it does touch on them, but like. It only does so by people sitting in rooms talking about them instead of actually having goals they want to achieve. Like the character, like Dr. Aki Ross, she has like no motivation beyond like we don't know anything about her. And then I've seen reviews where they're like, oh, she's like one of the best heroines science fiction's ever had since fucking Ripley in Alien. I was like, what?
Who the fuck said that?
Mate, some of the reviews are buck wild. I recommend the listeners look up the Wikipedia.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you say to that?
Like, I'm like, what?
Mate, like I said, this is 2001.
It's a dark time.
People are gassed. People are gassed, mate. They're like, because this is right. Did this movie come out before September?
well.
Because I feel like you don't get these reviews post 9/11. Is the point that I'm making for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason, indeed. This is a theory I was not expecting on this show.
Look,
okay. We've been down the Baldwin rabbit hole, and now we're down the 9/11 rabbit hole. I'm not sure where this episode is going.
Do you know who else has been down the Baldwin rabbit hole? Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
that
mate.
Was very good. That was very good. I enjoyed that.
July 2nd, 2001 premiere, and then wider release July 11th. So, mate, this is before 9/11.
Coincidence?
So the point is this. This is 9/11 happened because of this. No, we're not saying that legally the bear again is shaking its head and making it.
That bear is going to.
I think he's handing in his resignation, actually.
Yeah, the bear is doing what James Woods did at the end of this movie. Just, should I kill myself? No, I should kill everyone else.
And the character he played also did that, which is
no. But on a serious note, this movie and movies like it, that kind of brief period from like let's say 1998 to 2001. Before September, there was this kind of vibe of like, everything's becoming futuristic. We're optimistic about the future. Like, we're kind of going to use this sort of cyberpunk aesthetics, but we're going to make it kind of cool and fresh and hip. And also, we all love Japan.
Yeah.
Like, this is when anime started to be like, people getting into that and like, all this kind of stuff. So, like, well, anime's kind of started bleeding over already, but this is when it starts to
absolutely, like post-Matrix kind of. Well, this is what I was going to say.
Yeah, exactly. And even the Matrix, like, that movie is dystopian, but it becomes this, like,
it's a call to action, isn't it? Like
pinnacle, you know? People are like, yes, leather, rave music, anime, PlayStation games. We love this shit. And this is the vibe that this movie was made in. So that's my point. That's the cultural context.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but like this is always something that I've noticed in movies. Again, like it's pretty much like what you were just saying, but I've always called it post-Matrix syndrome because everything after the Matrix was just
the Matrix.
It just became so like even down to, and I mentioned it earlier, the first Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, is the Matrix.
So like such a Matrix hangover.
Leather, it comes.
Yeah, and again, like, and this movie, I feel like it's trying to. Visually, it kind of succeeds in being it.
Yeah. I mean, this movie only exists because executives were like, we didn't understand what The Matrix was when the Wachowskis pitched it to us. So now we're just going to start financing every sci-fi movie that we don't understand.
It was kind of like a spectator's boom for like producers, right? To like find like the cutting edge of like technology, but also storytelling.
The bleeding edge. The bleeding edge. Because this is also the context that like Bryan Singer's X-Men gets birthed into, right? Because people are like, look, this nerd shit, people are into this now. How do we make this cool? And you look at Bryan Singer's X-Men and it's like black leather, moody,
super model,
post Wachowskis. Yeah. And it's this thing of like, man, this is the thing. We're not doing a Matrix podcast, but in a way we kind of are, because we're talking about this. This movie only exists because of the Matrix. It's not a direct line, but it's definitely that thing of like, okay, Japanese director, he's talking about fucking spiritual nonsense and sci-fi. Look, let's put some money towards this because this could be the next Matrix. Like that's what people are thinking at this time.
That's interesting. Like here's something we haven't really touched on, and I really want to touch on it. I'm not a big gamer. I'm a filthy casual. I've started
playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
Give us your money, whoever made that game.
And also give me a copy of the new one that's about to come out.
Forbidden West.
I would like to play.
Can I also have a PS5 so I can play it? Cheers.
You can come play on mine.
Mark, you're a gamer. How much would you say this has to do with the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole?
Oh, that's easy. Fuck all.
Yeah.
I'm glad you kind of brought this up because I was just thinking about this myself, where it's interesting that this movie is not in any way related to any of the Final Fantasy games, but the plot and like the sort of basic elements definitely feel like a whole like sort of video game premise, especially the whole we have to gather the 8 ghosts and there's this threat that's taking over Earth, and like the phantoms themselves look like video game
enemies. The whole movie looks like a video game. This is splitting hairs.
yeah But like that's the thing, like it's got all of these kind of like fundamental elements that make me think that the director of the movie, because he wrote it as well, didn't he? And obviously he created the Final Fantasy series.
He wrote the first draft. He wrote it with other people. Like it's an Asian American kind of fusion, isn't it?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this was a concept for a proposed Final Fantasy game that never went ahead, because it's kind of got a lot of those. It's got a lot of those elements from.
But does it feel like a Final Fantasy game? Like there's no like
Yeah, like what kind of iconography, if any?
There's no big swords. There's no like.
Yeah, because the game's like super animated,
well,
right?
Some of them are, not all of them. I mean, like Final Fantasy VII was like a big turning point in the series because that's when it kind of had that sort of futuristic sort of vibe. Final Fantasy VIII is, to borrow a term from a dear friend of mine, that is a crackhead game. Like that game is all over the fucking shop with like its ideas and visuals and aesthetics. Like I'd say there's definitely some like parallels that you could draw between Final Fantasy VIII and this movie. And then 9, they went back to
medieval. So the Final Fantasy series, for those who don't know, I don't know much about the series, but I do know like they started with like there were 2D, I think top-down RPGs.
Yeah, they were for the NES is where the first one came out.
Yeah. The franchise started with like a proper like medieval fantasy kind of setting, and then kind of as the series went on, particularly 7's the one that was most iconic.
Yeah, people always go on about
and there's even an animated movie of that they were like
Advent Children, which is it's fun. That movie's fun.
And if you're like me who never played a Final Fantasy game and watch Advent Children, you'll have no idea what's going on.
Oh yeah, it's impenetrable to anybody who hasn't played the game.
Yeah, I mean the Final Fantasy stories themselves, like from what I understand of the stories of the games, particularly the later ones, 7 onwards, which all the other every Final Fantasy game post 7 kind of tried to like mimic that look a little bit. They've got more anime. They got more like traditional JRPG with like teenagers. How did you describe it, Mark? Or
it's to borrow a quote from Yahtzee Croshaw, who I adore. He basically says that it's not a real JRPG unless it's about a group of school kids who kill God with the power of friendship. And it's so true. But I mean, I'll put it this way: like, yeah, I'm like huge into games, and that's a big part of like what I do outside of this and stuff. But Final Fantasy wise, I've never been that huge on the series. Like, I've played 7, 8, and 9, never finished either of those. Final Fantasy 10, however, is the one that I absolutely love and adore, and that could not be any more different to this movie. Because the story of Final Fantasy X is quite bleak. It's all about a creature known as Sin, which it constantly rises up to destroy the Earth, and then a group of people must go on a pilgrimage to collect these souls of these like ancient warriors and shit to defeat it.
Oh, well, that's kind of
it's
similar.
got like a similarity, but like
souls.
When you compare like the visuals and the characters and everything from that game to this, it's like night and day. Like, that game is bursting with like charm and characters.
You were saying the other day that there is the shot in this movie where Ben Affleck and Dr. Aki Ross make out, and they're like floating in zero gravity. You were saying that's like a trope.
Yeah, there's been a lot of scenes.
A floaty
Yeah, there's
kiss.
a lot of that stuff. Like in Final Fantasy X, the scene where the protagonist Tidus and the summoner.
Listen to my story.
Like they there's the scene where they kiss for the first time is like underwater and stuff, and they like that's because again like. And those games are very kind of steeped in like kind of anime imagery and stuff anyway, so you get a lot of that. But again, I'm not like much of a Final Fantasy expert, but I think there's definitely like the DNA of those games in this film, but it goes down that very.
But it's so abstract.
Yeah, and it's almost like a completely different entity, and it's like they obviously kind of. Well, the games obviously have gameplay and they have combat and stuff, whereas in the movie they just substitute with people sitting around in boardrooms talking. Which, this is the problem with doing video game to movie anyway. So I think this movie was smart in the sense that it wasn't trying to be based on anything. Because that's where it always goes wrong with video game adaptations to movies. Like, this is why it's fucking ridiculous that they're doing The Last of Us as a TV series. Because that story only works because you are a participant in it.
Well, I'd argue that
you make choices.
It's already kind of cinematic, right? Like, but Final Fantasy, I to bring around down to like Spirits Within. So the Final Fantasy what I was trying to get, I was like summarizing that, is the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole has different stories, it has tropes, and it all has different stuff. So I guess this is about as Final Fantasy as the Final Fantasy games are to each other. But I'm pretty much convinced that this didn't start off as a Final Fantasy game, and the only reason they got it marketed was because they're like, it's called Spirits Within, no one's going to watch a film called Spirits Within, put the Final Fantasy thing on top of it, then you've got like the video game crowd. And I know so many people like who were gamers who went to see this and they're like, what the fuck? No one rides a giant chicken or whatever.
Well, yeah, because that is one of the only sort of through lines that the entire series has, is that chocobos, which for anybody listening who doesn't know what a chocobo is,
sorry, that sounds like a racist slur, Mark. What the hell are you talking about?
Like Spirit is, apparently. No,
Get out of here, you goddamn chocobo.
It's just a big yellow bird that people ride around like they would ride a horse. And those are basically in every Final Fantasy game. It's the only consistent thing across the board, is that in all of those universes, chocobos exist.
That.
I was going to say something real bad, but I'll save it till off air. But
I think I know what it was. I think I was going to say the same thing. Anyway, let's wrap this puppy up, mate, because we are
because like I'm kind of tired of this film. Just thinking
about it, we'll go in reverse order from last time. Mark, Kino or Inferno, my man?
Oh, put it in the fucking fire.
Straight in the bin.
It's like, I see what they're trying to do with this movie, and like I like that there's a lot of sort of moral and thematic, and like there's a lot of stuff going on under the hood of the movie, and I like that element of it. It's just a shame that the actual film itself is really dull for the most part. Like, I'm just not that engaging. The characters aren't really that interesting. Dr. Aki Ross, sorry love, not interested.
Sorry love, move on.
Just like, I'm not interested. Ben Affleck, Alec Baldwin, man, fuck off, don't care. Ving Rhames, he's alright.
Yeah, he's the only one in this movie who was a bitch made. He's just there like, he knows what he's about, man. He's like, don't give me the drugs, just give me a fucking gun.
It's like we say, he is built different, okay? He knows that he just knows what he needs to be doing. Yeah. Unlike everybody else in this movie.
He's lived into the future because of the deal he made with the devil, where they put his soul in that briefcase in Pulp Fiction. Like, he's playing Marcellus Wallace, right? Who's just lived on into the future.
No, I think this movie, there's a lot to admire and respect about it. I just think they got so bogged down in all the stuff around it with like having the whole digital actress thing.
Yeah.
It's basically, this movie's a load of old bollocks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to echo that. Yeah, it's going straight in the Inferno for me. Not even contemplating it. I will say, reading about it and watching some of the making of gave me like some kind of 2000s nostalgia, which is probably reflected in my bizarre comments about 9/11. But it's
you're just nostalgic for 9/11.
No, but like genuinely, the only real redeeming quality of this movie for me is thinking about that time when people were super jazzed about technology, because I feel like in the 20 odd years that have elapsed since then, like technology now is like a source of fear and anxiety for me. Whereas there was a time I can remember as a child being like, oh yes, I live in the fucking future. You know what I mean? And like this movie is so reflective of that. And I feel like, yeah, like I say, in the subsequent decades, like, yeah, it's just become about like, hey, technology is just another way that. I mean, I'm starting to sound like Lana Wachowski, but it's just like, hey, technology is not a tool for liberation. It's hemming you in, like it's corrupting you. Whereas back then, people were like, hey, maybe it's good. After all, Kino or Inferno?
Yeah, no, let's get in the bin.
I'm sorry. This is why we can't have guests. Because how the hell do you follow that? Mark just went on a fairly like, yeah, do you know, yeah, this movie, it doesn't really work, blah, blah. I'm rambling on about fucking 9/11 and Lana Wachowski. Please, add a counterpoint to both of them.
Mate, well, it's not going to be a counterpoint. I'm in stringent agreement. Maybe not so much on the nostalgia for 9/11.
Hang on a minute. I'm nostalgic for 9/11 world.
But I will say, I can see where the appreciation of like thinking about a time where we were looking at Tamagotchis and scanners and thinking,
yes.
Yeah, like this is going to be a cool time. And flip phones. We remember we saw a Motorola flip phone.
Yeah, they still look cool to me.
Yeah.
Motorola Razr, man, they were futuristic as fuck.
Oh god, yes, the Motorola Razr was like the future is here, my man.
But you know,
everyone was just like, "Look at how fucking thin it is."
Yeah, mate.
It's so thin.
Mate, that's the weird thing, right? Because the hack. Sorry, we're talking all over Abdul. Which is how he knows that he's been accepted into the Kino Inferno file, because we talk relentlessly over each other all the time. But
I mean, I've been doing it a lot. I've been kind of scolding myself for doing so.
But yeah, in the 2000s, like the hack joke about mobile phones was like they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? Like in Zoolander, they have the gag about like the tiny little pill-sized phone that he flips open. Whereas now, it's weird to think that like that was what was genuinely accepted as like, yeah, at some point phones are going to be so small like you eat them and it's in your brain or whatever. And like now we have smartphones and they're like a slab again. I'm, for the listeners' benefit, I'm brandishing my smartphone at the camera for no real reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to have them for that kind of nostalgic vibe. And, you know, maybe when I watched it on UMD on PSP, I was a little bit more entranced then.
Fucking hell. You're talking about nostalgia. PSP. You put UMD.
Yeah.
UMD. Remember when that was a thing?
Yes.
Mate, this was a big push for that. Like, this is one of the big... Because obviously it's like Final Fantasy and Sony. They're like, oh, yeah. They're like, come on, mate. Watch Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
Please.
Please. Yeah.
On UMD.
Instead of using your PSP to play games... Watch this film that's based on a game, but not based on a game.
That looks like a game, but you can't
Remember
play
a time when people were like, why would you watch a movie on a handheld device? That's so weird.
Yeah, but now we're like, I'm going to watch all of Midnight Mass on a train.
Yeah, exactly.
I still can't really do that. Like, I can't massively watch stuff on my phone or like tablet.
I'll watch YouTube on my phone.
Tablet is a bit of a line.
Bro, this is the difference between Kino and Inferno. I would watch Spirits Within on my phone because fucking whatever.
Because that's what it deserves.
Although I will say, I
chuck my phone into the fire.
I watched quite a few episodes of Money Heist on the train, but that's because those crazy Spanish bastards had me hooked. Like I was sat there like, I've got a 2-hour train journey. I can't not be watching Money Heist. So I guess my take on this is, I like Money Heist quite a bit. That's my takeaway for this whole episode. Really good. Had a satisfying ending. Good stuff.
So that's Kino,
Money Heist is Money Heist is Kino.
Money Heist is Kino. Yeah. Final Fantasy Spirit.
Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. Final Fantasy.
It's getting in the fire. Like the only redeeming feature I can think about is it's got a good cast.
Love Ben Affleck.
Golden Thor does the score.
Ben Affleck at the height of his powers.
Me too.
When he's being played by someone else.
Yeah.
Before he killed that woman.
Do you think he's more lifeless in the eyes now, post Jennifer Garner and Zack Snyder, or
no? I think he's at his best when he's played by Alec Baldwin.
Can you imagine a world where Aki Ross is still acting?
No, because
Dr.
9/11
Aki Ross.
happened, so we can't have this. This is what the terrorists took
Fucking
from
hell.
us.
It wasn't
hell.
this failure of Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within that killed Dr. Aki.
No, it was Al
acting
Qaeda. Bin Laden.
And the brave Mujahideen
Yeah,
fight.
sorry. Who was the brave Mujahideen fighter earlier? What was? I can't remember. We've talked some shit in this podcast. Mujahideen Barbie. Mujahideen Barbie. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's a unanimous get in the fire for Final Fantasy: Spirits Within, but we retrieved Titan AE, which
It was singed.
It was lightly
singed by the
singed.
fire.
Lightly singed.
Lightly singed, which is kind of how I would describe that movie anyway.
Yeah, it's a very
Lightly
singed
singed.
film.
And to be clear,
Whereas Final Fantasy
a
Spirits
ringing
Within,
endorsement for Money Heist.
Titan AE is kind of singed. Final Fantasy Spirits Within is very slick, it's very glossy, but that UMD of
Yes.
Spirits Within is going right in the fire.
Straight in. So's Dr. Aki Ross. Get in the bin, love.
So, like, just to sort of put a cap on the whole thing, like, it is kind of amazing that these are both two movies that were considered, like, cutting edge for their time, like, what they did. And they fucking bombed and
They
took
so
studios
hard.
down with
Yeah.
them.
So
Like,
hard. Like,
Like no one
fucking-
thinks about these movies anymore.
Spirits Within was really expensive. It was like 130 million.
Yeah, 'cause they made
which
a
would
woman.
Probably be around.
They made her.
They made a
They
doctor.
made, yes,
okay?
Yeah.
they put
Yeah.
her through
Yeah.
science school.
They made a professional.
She went-
Aiden,
she went to
actually
Harvard.
Get it right. She went to MIT, Harvard. What have you done? Right.
I joined the Mujahideen.
Do you know what? Do you know the best way to describe this film? I know we've done the Kino Inferno thing. It feels like a waifu movie.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah,
made a
it's
waifu.
movie.
Yeah.
Science waifu for lifu.
Well, what I would say as well is just, like, Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within is the kind of movie that you look at it and go, you see why it killed a studio.
Yeah.
Titan AE, I feel like, is...
Titan AE ran into
better
some
than
bad
that.
luck because like Fox kind of threw it in the bin before it was even out. Like they didn't really promote
Yeah,
it that
yeah.
much. Like they
Yeah.
assumed it would fail. Which it did,
And
but they
it did,
didn't back
because
it.
obviously
But it's
they
another
just-
example like Treasure Planet. They didn't back it because they were kind of like, we don't know who this is for. But then at the same time, it's like, just advertise it as you would a live-action sci-fi movie. And you will draw in the sci-fi
Yeah.
crowd. Because if there's anyone who doesn't really give a shit whether a movie's live-action or animated, it's sci-fi people, right? Like, they're willing to sit through this stuff. They watch anime, these people. Then I guess, but then...
That's very true.
You know, anime can get in the bin too.
Yeah, I'm
All
gonna...
of it,
Yeah,
I
let's
say it now.
condemn
Here's a-
all of anime.
Yeah. And if you want to at me, I'm at the real Mark Smith. at Twitter.
Yeah, also...
I'm glad you got that wrong, because I do not want the fury of the anime kids,
Also,
okay?
please,
So they're
yeah,
coming
to be
at
clear,
you.
it's at that bloody Mark Smith. And if you've got...
Delete this.
If you've got
Delete
any
this.
problems with anything I've said regarding what may or may not have happened on September the 11th, 2001, please direct that to at that bloody Mark Smith as well. Because I cannot stress this enough, I am not on Twitter.
Yeah.
I still think you are on Twitter. I'm convinced you are fuckbum69.
Look.
We've not mentioned fuckbum on the show yet, but before we sign off, I need to mention
I'm not a
fuckbum69.
fuckbum69, I promise.
I'm convinced
I
you are.
promise.
What a
Abdul, do you
sentence.
know about this?
Only on this podcast is that a reasonable sentence.
Do you, Abdul, are you aware of fuckbum69?
In real life or on the internet?
Both.
I don't really know what fuckbum69
I will
is.
neither deny. I didn't.
So
come to
why
the
do you think... Right, okay, let's get into
cross-examination.
this. What do you think fuckbum69 is, and why do you think it's me?
Me.
It's just got your vibe.
Why?
Basically,
What do you mean it's got my vibe?
We have a follow.
This guy's called
have a follow-
fuckbum69.
We've got this follower on Twitter under the name of fuckbum69 who pretty much likes all of our posts. We are the only page that they like. This profile has been made purely for that intention, and the profile picture is, you know, Nostalgia Critic? It's him dressed up as
No
a
way!
hobo.
That's amazing! What, as Chester A. Buck?
This is literally true. And
No,
literally,
yeah, Chester A. Bob. I was going to say, get it right, Mark. That's
I
part
mean,
of the
I
law.
don't watch the Nostalgia Critic, you know. I have standards.
Okay, rude.
I said it.
That real bloody Mark Smith or whatever.
At that bloody Mark Smith, if you're one of these people who needs to defend Channel Awesome, A, have a word with yourself, and B, it's at that bloody Mark
Get
Smith.
therapy.
Yeah.
Hey, Cinema Snob's alright, we like him.
Nah.
Linkar's alright.
Nah.
The rest of them get in the bin.
But yeah, so if you're listening, fuckbum69, please.
I
come
hope he's
forward, 'cause I
listening.
want
If
to
he's
know who
liking
you
all
are.
these fucking tweets, I hope he's listening.
Could you imagine if he's like,
I don't listen to the show. I just really support Mark.
But I just like the cover art. Yeah.
I guess, yeah, maybe I've just got some like crazy
Has he like?
stalker.
Hang on,
who
let's
likes to
get into
dress up,
this. This podcast's running long anyway. But is Fuckbum69? Has he liked anything else?
No, it's just us.
He's never.
What if it's Dr. Aki
He's never. Yeah, maybe. Has he ever tweeted anything?
I don't believe so. I've not checked Fuckbum's profile.
Check it out. 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 Check it out.
Right. Okay. I'm going on Twitter as we speak.
Check it out. Check it out.
This is going to be exclusive extra content.
No, this is part of the episode, mate. The people need to know about Fuckbum.
This episode.
I should not have Googled Fuckbum69.
Yeah, so I'll just vamp while Mark looks up.
No, do you know what? Right. Okay. No. This episode is running long. So
no, fuck it. No. Do it now.
No.
Mark, you can edit this.
No. Next time. No. We're ending on a cliffhanger.
No, Mark.
Okay?
No, Mark. Mark. No, I'm serious. I will come to your house and hurt you. Look up Fuckbum69 now. Do it.
Okay, I'm looking
the Twitter.
I'm looking up Fuckbum69. Okay, so vamp for me.
Okay. Well, you can find us on the podcast Kino Inferno. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter at Kino Inferno. At Kino _
Right, I found Fuckbum.
Okay, cool. Because I can't remember anything else we're on.
Yeah, literally, their profile. It's just that one picture, and all it says is they're following one person, and that is us. That is Kino Inferno.
Go on tweets and replies. See if they've replied.
Nothing.
They've never said anything.
No.
Can you see what else they've liked? Have they liked anything?
That's it. That's all. That's it. That's it.
It's just
it's made just for you. It's just for you.
When did it come into being?
When you guys
October. Which is before the podcast even came out.
So Fuckbum69.
This is why I'm convinced it's you.
It's not me.
Are you sure it's not a bot?
I'm not on Twitter.
Sorry, Fuckbum69.
I think it's a real person.
That you are a virtual actor.
I suspect that Fuckbum69
is it Dr. Aki
is
Ross?
someone we know. Yeah. It's Ross. She's up to her old tricks.
Ross herself.
Well, anyway, this is running long, so
on that bombshell, let's wrap up the show. Right. You can find us on Twitter at Kino _ Inferno. You'll also find Fuckbum69 there, apparently. You can find us on YouTube at Kino Inferno. You can find us on Facebook at Kino Inferno. You can find us on Spotify at Kino Inferno. We're not on Stitcher. We don't know what it is. It's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye
Aiden.
from me, Mark.
And it's a go fuck yourself for me, Dr. Aki Ross herself.
And it's goodbye from me, the Dredge. Oh shit, I'm the Dredge. Watch out.
Alright, peace.
Is that the worst one I've ever done?
Friday. Shit, does it say who's fucking playing us in the movie?
No, but it's Miramax, so I'm sure it'll be Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. You know, they put them in a bunch of movies.
Who?
You know, those kids from Good Will Hunting?
You mean that fucking movie with Mork from Ork in it?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan either. But Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms.
Word, bitch. Phantom's like a motherfucker.
What's up now? All right.